Hey everybody, doing a little rearranging here before we get the stream started. No, we're not gonna have music on this stream. Normally I have some smooth jazz going on in the background. But there's a possibility that I'm gonna turn this stream, if I have the energy and time, into kind of its own video for the channel. Just because I feel like this is a topic that people ask me often about, and rather than asking people to go watch a however long stream, I just tell them, hey, here's a video that kind of wraps up everything that I've said about it. So we'll see. I mean, I don't know. So I'm listening to some smooth jazz in the background, but you can't hear it. You like jazz? Yeah, there it is. Cannot escape something like that. Okay. Dumb Jake already made a great comment in the chat here that you guys are going to tear me limb from limb, and it's probably true. It's probably true because this type of video is the type of content I normally would not make. I don't think this type of content is wrong or bad. I never really found a need for me to make something like this. But the truth is, I've got a little one coming along the way. Hospital bills are expensive, and so we have to make slop content. We're a slop channel now. It's funny I say that. This stream is not monetized, so I'm making no money off of this. But no, I thought we would do this finally. I was originally just going to do the first 24 issues because videos moving forward on the channel, I've got about, I believe it's 8 scheduled videos back to character essays. We're just covering those first 24 issues, Daniel Warren Johnson's run. That is not me saying you shouldn't continue reading the comic. That's not me saying I hate the comic. I just feel that I want to cover characters and their growth through that first, kind of major story moment, those first 2 years of Daniel Warren Johnson. Once Robert Kirkman wraps up his story, whenever that is, if it's issue 48 or before or after, then we'll cover those characters again. But no, today we're going to do all the issues that have come out, so 1 through 35. And I'm hoping that everybody is kind-hearted, even though we're all going to disagree on certain things. All right. Here's the list. All right. I'm here to watch the limbs be torn off. Well, thank you, Exodus. Hey, Sky. Okay, so you're probably looking at this thing and what on earth, where are the simple letters or numbers? I cannot read. That's fine, neither can I. A disclaimer, we're ranking issues based on their own merits, not how they read in a trade. I understand that you need to, when looking at the story as a whole, you have to consider how it is read in a trade or even in a hardcover book. But we're just ranking the individual issues and how they work. And so that's, there's good and bad of that. You have issues like 13 and 14, which really do go together. But I'm not going to be ranking issue, 14 based off of, what issue 13 did. It's just not how we're going to do it today. But yes, the last tier, Lamau, yeah. So yeah, I mean, just your simple S, A, B, C, D. So A is Masterpiece. Now, I want to be very clear here on the difference between Masterpiece and I really liked it. There's going to be a lot of fantastic issues that I know I'm going to put in the I really liked it category. And I want to make sure that you guys don't think, oh, that means Delta hates it. No, I liked it. When I say I liked it, I mean, hey, I really liked this issue. I'm going to read it again. And I look forward to reading it again. The Masterpiece tier is like, this is generational comic content. Not just generational Transformers content. Generational comic content. So don't get it twisted if I put, an issue that I said, oh, I love this issue and I really liked it. I really like it. Cool, needs work. That's the middle point, That's the center of, hey, I liked it, but there's some issues. I'm kind of halfway. After that is, no thanks. That's, nah, man. I throw the Megatron solo issue in the garbage. Which one? I know you hate that one, dumb Jake. Which one? There's 2 of them. There's 19 and 31. Probably 19. What's with the last tier, man? That's the last tier is the last tier. It's how that issue made me feel. If an issue goes in there and that means I read it and I sat there and said, I wish I could go back in time and stop my parents from meeting so I didn't have to read this issue. I don't think we need much more of an explanation on that one. Yeah, so, this is the scale I like to use. I like to use the scale of 5, 1 out of 5, 2 out of 5, 3 out of 5. On the Teletran Tapes podcast, where me and my co-host rank these issues, we use the 10 scale. I don't necessarily like using that scale, but it is helpful the more people you have. The more people that you have ranking and you have to compare rankings, having a larger kind of number category is better to use. But I like using the 5 rating scale. That's what I use on League of Comic Geeks or whatever it's called, to rank issues. So I will play the last 3 issues of Fall Cybertron right now. I don't want to finish this game. Is issue 34 S tier? I don't know. But yeah, this is just S, A, B, C, D. So, yeah. We are doing all the issues that have come out, and again, as the disclaimer says, we're just doing it based off of issue. Not trade reading, not hardcover, not any of that. So, all right, well, let's open that up. I need to, let's see here. What's the best way for me to do this? Stream Master, of course. I'm going to pull up the chat over here on my phone. That way we can get this going. I know you got so many of you guys are going to be completely disappointed, or even Dumb Jake's issue 31 got me side-eyeing, but issue 19 or whatever it was, I hate time loops. I don't think you're going to like my ranking of it, though, because it's not. I can tell you it's probably not going to go in the bottom category. Sorry. All right, and we're doing this in order, okay? I know some people, do it backwards. Let's have issue 35. Let's rank issue 35 first because it just came out. No. Okay, issue number 1. We're going to start with issue number 1, obviously. Now, again, I said that the masterpiece tier is not just, this was a really good issue and I liked it. It has to be more than that. And so I don't think there's going to be too many issues within the masterpiece tier. But I do think that issue 1 belongs, well, that's a hard one. So here's the situation. I'm not solely sold on this just yet, because here's the thing. One of the things that I really don't like when it comes to these types of ranking tier lists is people take, I'll give you an example. People will take the beginning of something, the original, like the Generation 1 cartoon, and they'll say, well, we have to put it in the top tier, not because it's good, but because it's the original, and without it, nothing else exists. I don't like that line of thinking. Yeah, you should recognize the beginning as being, important as a start, but that doesn't automatically make it the best. That being said, issue 1 is, in my opinion, genuinely a masterpiece comic issue. Regardless of Transformers, regardless if you care about Transformers or not, it is such an important issue of comic history because of the introduction, because of how well it introduces you to these characters, to the story, so on and so forth. I believe it stands up there in masterpiece. Again, I'm sure that's not a hot take. A lot of people are probably thinking, well, yeah, it's the first issue. It has to be up there. Again, cannot stand that line of thinking. I'm pretty sure I did a ranking of the shows that I've watched of Transformers. I'm pretty sure I put Generation 1 in like the A category. And people were saying, why is it not an S? It's the original. Like, that doesn't mean that it goes up there. Dumb Jake over here saying Truth Nuke. Yeah, I'm putting it up here also because it really is what got me back into Transformers and comics. And some people would say, well, that's biased of you. And you're right, it is biased. If you look down below, you'll see that this is my YouTube channel. So I can do whatever I want. Masterpiece rank, people are saying it. Issue 1 activated my neurons and I read it 10 times. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well, issue 1 is what got me to make this channel and all that, because I was not reading this comic. And a buddy of mine was like, hey, you got to read the Skybound Transformers comic. I thought, man, I spent so many years reading IDW and I enjoyed it, but I'm tired, man. Read this first issue and thought, yeah, this is pretty good. All right. I have a separate tab here on my computer that you can't see that has the issues up because I'm going to be honest with you guys. I cannot remember what happens in every issue. If you were to ask me what the difference between issue 15, 16, 17, 18 is, I couldn't tell you. I could be like, the Autobots are in trouble. So I have a tab here that you guys can't see that I can quickly flip through the issues because, man, it's just been so long. You know, like, what? I don't remember any of this stuff, even though I just did a reread. Issue 2 it's very easy to want to put it in Masterpiece. And I want to put it in Masterpiece because it has that scene with Optimus and the deer. For right now, I'm going to put it here, and we can talk about issue 2. That scene with Optimus and the deer, I do believe, is a masterpiece of a scene by Daniel Warren Johnson, doing the writing, of course, and the artwork. I think with so little dialogue, so much is displayed to you. But again, we're looking at the entirety of the issue. Following that masterful scene is, again, more great stuff, but it's very dialogue-heavy stuff, and it's very wordy, and it's got to give off a lot of information. That's where we get the introduction of Cliffjumper. Carly and his relationship kind of starts to begin. We hear about the Matrix, and then of course we have the introduction of Duke, which I know a lot of people probably read and were like, ugh, we're doing the shared universe thing, you know. Jake says Optimus and Deer is great. But yeah, let's be for real, Iron Giant did the same thing 20 years ago. Yeah, it's not an original idea. I mean, you know, I think that concept, you know, has been done to death. And for me, and this is the same way I thought about the Bumblebee movie, it's never about, is this a wholly original idea, but how is it executed? If it's an idea I've seen before, that's fine, but is it executed well? And I do think it's executed here well. The ending of this issue, I think, is really good, too. This is Carly's discovery that her dad is now Jelly. Everything in between this issue, there's nothing bad about this issue. But I think because everything in between is not as great as the beginning and not as impactful as the end, I'm putting in, I really liked it. Again, I know some people will think, oh, Delta hates this issue. It's true. I hate this comic. Also, I'm not going to be keeping track of where these are in the ranking list. You know, is issue 3 or better or worse than issue 2? I don't have time to do that. That's just too much work. I'm lazy. I'm tired. I can't do that. So issue 3 is kind of the fallout of that. Cliffjumper and Carly, you know, kind of coming together. This issue is another one that I think is so iconic because it's the moment where Optimus Prime rips his arm off and beats Skywarp to death. But again, I think while there's nothing bad in this issue at all, there's nothing that makes me think that it's a masterpiece in the comic industry. The first 6 issues are such a rush, it's really nonstop action until they defeat Starscream. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm putting 3 in here. Great stuff. 4 is, let's see here, it's when Starscream is getting beat up. It's the hospital one. Jazz shows up. He does some fighting. We have Cliffjumper flipping off the Decepticons. So this is a really tough one. I think that this issue all around is really close to masterpiece, and that's because of that hospital scene. And again, I don't ever want to just take one particular scene and say because of this scene that makes it a masterpiece. But there's a lot of stuff in here that's really great. Jazz showing up and saving the day is fun. The hospital scene where Optimus says, no more death. We get the kind of the introduction of, maybe not the introduction, but that dialogue of Sparky saying, "My beautiful boy." We get the Decepticons tearing apart Starscream. We get that small and mighty dialogue between the two characters. We get the really important moment with Cliffjumper and Carly. That's probably my favorite page of the entire Energon universe, where they sit down and talk about Carly's dad being dead. And of course, we have the how do you feel about going on the offensive. I think because it has so many standout monumental moments that I would put it up in the masterpiece tier. I think it stands along issue 1 as being so important to the series that it stands above any other issue that is, fantastic apart. Unskippable title. Tearing Apart Starscream. Did I say Tearing Apart Starscream? Who knows? Issue 5 continues on with that. This is the issue where RC comes back to life, and Reflector and Frenzy bite the dust. I absolutely love their deaths in this series. It's just hilarious the way they die. Again, more great stuff. This is where the Constructicons show up. I'm putting in I really liked it. This first kind of 6 issues, I feel like we're gonna get through pretty quickly. I feel like I did say Tearing Apart Starscream. He'll die later, don't worry. I do feel like these first couple of issues are going to be pretty easy to score, and as we go on, they'll be a little more back and forth. Issue 6 I think is great. Once again, just like how I said, I don't like it when people take the origin, the beginning, and automatically put it in Masterpiece. I don't like it when they take the finale. Issue 6 is I really liked it for me. I don't think it's a masterpiece. I think it's good. I think it's great. I think it's a great ending. It's got a solid action, solid dialogue, solid art, solid all around. Really, really good. When I flicked through issue 4, I noticed Sparky saying "My beautiful boy." I teared up when I realized that issue 23 made the callback. Yeah. I'm trying to remember if it's mentioned in an earlier issue. I know that there's that through line that Johnson had. So, issue 5 is another banger. Rip Reflector and Frenzy. Reflector and Frenzy dying in a single panel is kind of shocking. Yeah, that's the point. Yeah, they're goons, so they gotta die. Goons die. That's the point of their character. And if you guys are sitting here wondering, I wonder if Delta would have a tier list of Skybound deaths. The answer is yes, I do, and that'll be next month with my very own friend Swizz Prime. We're gonna go through all the deaths. We're gonna rank them. Don't worry. Issue number 7 is the arrival of Lita, her Cybertron story. This is when we switch over to Jorge Corona's art. Let me check here real quick on OBS if I can have these pages that I'm flipping through pop up on screen. I know I can. I know it's possible, but I just want to see real quick. And it's probably gonna put that at the top, of course. Yeah. Of course. OBS is gonna put it at the very top and show all my information. This will kind of work. Let's see if I can do it this way. I'm still here, guys, I promise. I guess we could just put this right over here. Just don't want to show too much of my stuff. Let's try this real quick and see. Oh my goodness. Try and resize this here real quick. Yeah, this is way too big. I know what you guys are saying. Delta should have figured this out beforehand. Should have. There we go. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to put this like right there. Yeah. All right, there we go. Now we can kind of go through these pages on screen as well. There we go. We do a tier list of Skybound characters. I don't know about that. That's a whole lot. I didn't know Frenzy died for a while. His death seems so inconsequential. It wasn't until Daniel Warren Johnson confirmed it in the letter hack that I found that he died. Yeah, I think that's the point. Big cursor. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, I think that's the point. Frenzy's not a main character, so we don't really need to spend too much time, on his on his character. He doesn't have a character arc. He's there to die. So yeah. All right. Now we got this up. Issue 7. This is what we're going through. This is Starscream getting beat up and kicked out of the Decepticons, basically. RC and Carly have their connection moment. Cliffjumper is considering his options after what he's done. I do want to note that this is kind of the beginning of this sunset iconography imagery that we're getting inside of the series. I always forget how early it starts and how often that Jorge Corona and Johnson are putting it into the series. It really is crazy how often they kind of put it in there, and I never noticed it. The only thing Frenzy was good or known for is he's the red one. We love seeing Starscream getting beat up. Hey, Nerdy, what's up? So yeah, another great episode. This is where we get Wheeljack too and his little treads once again. I really liked it. It was a good issue. You know, it's a good issue. Yeah. Moving on from that, issue 8. This is when Elita starts having her time. We get this beautiful, wonderfully written and drawn scene with Cliffjumper, Carly, and Spike. This is a major talking point on next week's video, which is starting off the Daniel Warren Johnson character essays on the channel. And we're starting with Cliffjumper, my favorite, of course. So, Elita having problems on Cybertron, the Decepticons killing some humans, of course, yada yada. Lots of stuff going on here. Carly's angry. Very Carly-heavy issue. The discovery of the Nemesis again. And I believe, yeah, we've got this iconic moment with Jetfire and Optimus, where Jetfire says he can't see the stars anymore, and Optimus says that he'll stay with him. The reveal of Astrotrain, of course, too, that he's been inside the Nemesis. He's kind of been inside the brig. And how does this issue end? It ends with the reveal of Shockwave, of course. Yeah, Shockwave is around and kicking. If you were reading Void Rivals at the time, then that's kind of the connection there. He shows up in Void Rivals for a single issue. So if not, then it's a nice big surprise that he's around. All right, issue 9. We put that one in. I really liked it. The amount of issues straight up at the top just shows how strong Daniel Warren Johnson's run was. Yeah, and again, that's a really good point, Lucas. That was, hey, what's up, TFC? That was one of the reasons why I didn't want to do this tier list, really, because I thought, man, everything's just going to go up in the middle, up at the top. All these Daniel Warren Johnson issues are just going to sit up there. And it's going to be a really boring video if it's just a list of everything up at the top. But I think there's a lot of conversation that can be had around these issues, especially as we get further on in the series. So we're in issue 9 now. This is where Ratchet, unfortunately, bites the dust. If you have not caught up on the series, then spoilers, I guess. Ratchet bites the dust. Astrotrain and Spike have a lot of time together in this issue, which I really like. Their dialogue. RC comes in and splits Brawl in half. I had forgotten, just, again, for how much time has passed, that Brawl is split in half by the closing of the space bridge. I kind of thought in my head that he died. He doesn't die. He's still there. He crawls around. I think a later issue that we'll look at when he's with Onslaught, it's easy to think he's dead, but he's actually not. So he gets cut in half. Did they say why Astrotrain hates Megatron? I don't remember. Yeah, he alludes to the fact that Megatron killed his love. Who his love is, we don't know. And no, I will not do any theories on it. I have an Astrotrain video coming out next month. And I know people ask, who do you think his love is? I don't know. I don't think it's super important right now. What's most important is that he had a love, and the love was lost. Would say I got spoiled, but I binge-watched Swizz's playlist. Swizz is great for keeping people updated. And this is also where we get Beachcomber. Not very, unsurprising. It's going up in the... I really liked it. If Dumb Jake is still here, I know he's just waiting for me to get to issue 19. He wants me to put it down at that bottom tier. Issue 10 is we're getting this Beachcomber. I think I said Cliffjumper earlier. Beachcomber kind of backstory as to what's been going on here on Earth. I know if Carl's collection was here, he would put this up in the masterpiece, and I absolutely understand why he would. It's a fantastic look at this world through the lens of this character, but it also keeps the story moving. You know, it doesn't stop us too far. So Shockwave, bleeding Earth's whales, which is, you know, hilarious now that he's going to be a whale figure. So what goes around comes around. The Autobots are held captive. Here's the specific section I'm talking about. This panel right here is stuck in my head for so long that Brawl and Onslaught are just sitting here, and I always thought, oh yeah, Brawl's dead. Brawl's not dead. We'll see in issue 13 and 14. He's alive. He's crawling around. He's just not talking here. He's just being silent. So when I was doing my research for the Skybound death tier list, I put him on there and realized, oh, technically he's not dead, but again, next month we'll get to that. Optimus and Alita with their kind of back and forth, you know, their characters really struggling to get along with the decisions that have been made over time. And the big, huge reveal that Shockwave is bringing Cybertron to Earth. When I first read this issue, I remember I was shocked that they were doing this so soon. I thought, I thought this would be like 4 or 5 years into the EU, and they're doing it now, you know, a year into the Energon universe. But I do think it is a great issue. I think that it's that it really does a good job of pushing the story forward. So that's issue 10. The covers, I didn't pick these covers specifically. It's just whatever TF Wiki had. I just did a quick download of them. So the covers here and here may not match all the time. I thought Brawl and Vortex died in that issue. Nope, they're alive. They are alive. The irony of Shockwave being a whale now will never not be funny to me after all that. Yeah, it's hilarious. Issue 11, this is the penultimate issue to kind of this first year of Skybound. So this is kind of the big lead up. We're having RC and Alita fighting, a lot of back and forth, Ultra Magnus. Here's Vortex right here, by the way. And here's Brawl, who's being carried around. Again, it really does seem like he's dead because he does not speak. But he is alive. He is alive by my estimation. So, a lot of back and forth with RC, Alita, and Carly. Great character growth here for kind of this idea of rage. Jay is saying all of them S rank for me, including Volume 5, of course. Lots of great dialogue here. Carly, once again, being left behind. I mean, I get it. She's small. She's squishy. The beautiful scene here with Beachcomber, Spike, the deer, and the memory of Optimus holding the deer. Once again, a great example of the fact that Corona and Johnson know when not to fill a page with dialogue, or even to fill a panel, because there's dialogue down here, but they know when to allow the art to speak, something that I feel like not every writer-artist team is super great at, but they've done a great job here, allowing this issue to just speak on its own without having too much dialogue in these scenes. Ultra Magnus arrives. This is the big kind of let's go moment, the big hype moment. And then he runs away. Unsurprisingly, I really liked it. We're going to be seeing a lot of that. 12, this is the wrap-up for this first kind of for the first year of the Energon universe, for this big story arc. So lots of battling, lots of fighting here. I guess you could assume that the Combaticons, well, actually no, the Combaticons don't get beat up or killed here. I mean, we see him shot here, and then we just see him running away. So where Brawl is here, I don't know, because it doesn't look like they're carrying him anymore. Let's go back here. Yeah, it doesn't look like Brawl is drawn in these pages. Hey, Brushed. Yeah, it looks like they're just kind of standing here. Yeah. So yeah, this is the big moment where Optimus Kills, if you don't want to say kills, and whatever. Shockwave, big moment. Again, we're not ranking these issues on what happens later in the series. We're ranking them on the issue. So I know a lot of people say that this issue is no longer good because Shockwave comes back later. Highly disagree with that. No. Rank each issue as an issue on its own. That baggage does not retroactively go backwards. Optimus chooses Earth, falls to the Earth. Beachcomber saves him, saves the day, and we have, this beautiful final panel right here of Cybertron, the Cybertron shard crashing down onto Earth, which we're still dealing with to this day, all these years later. So 12, surprise, surprise, is going in the real. I really liked it. All right, issue 13. Issue 13 is where we take a break. We're kind of taking a break from the main storyline, and this is kind of the start of the Energon universe doing kind of origin issues. It's still continuing the story forward, which I really, really appreciate. Not Shockwave, it's Shorb now. You're right. This is still continuing the story to go forward, but it's really doing a good job of taking the story elements and wrapping them into the past we see with Starscream. So it's nice to see Starscream back as kind of a main character here. We get to go back in time and see his relationship with Jetfire and Genvo. And this is the first time Jason Howard is doing art on the series, and I really enjoy his art on this. I love the very classic style of coloring that's done here with his art as well. Who did the coloring on this issue, actually? It's still Spicer. Okay. The way they work together is really great. Cybertron, I love the fact that Cybertron is bright and it's colorful. So many times we see Cybertron, it's dull and gray, and it's just so boring. It's like, we get it. Like, I know it's at war, but come on. Let's do color. Jay says, but for real, I do need to do a full reread of everything, which that will help my full ranking. Also, that last rank, the I wish that rank, is hilarious. Oh, yeah. We talked about that when we started. So, yeah, anyways, this issue, this is where we see a lot of backstory with Starscream, kind of how he became who he became, who he was before that, Genvo's death, Optimus, possibly Grimlock. I can't remember if Danny Warren Johnson confirmed that was Grimlock. Who knows? It's in shadow. It's probably like that on purpose. This guy, man, what was this guy's name again? I forget. He's part of Mars. I don't remember. This guy with the big beer belly. Love him to death. How could you not? Smoking his cigar. Megatron's arrival. What's up, MJ? Megatron kind of showing off. This is the first time we've kind of seen his alt mode, which is just absolutely hilarious. I love the fact that his alt mode is this gun, and kind of getting this creation of Starscream, of who he is. Once again, whoa, I went too far there. Once again, unsurprisingly, I like it. I like it a lot. All right. Now we're going to get into some interesting stuff. Oh, man, do I not have issue 14 on here? I don't have issue 14 here on the list. So hold on one second. Oh, wait. This just got all messed up. Wait, issue 13 must have happened when I hit spacebar. Issue 13. Putting there. That is not... I don't think that is... I don't remember the alt covers. I can't tell if that's issue... Let me do some research here, because I forget what issue is what. The covers are so small. Issue 14? It could be that I just didn't download. Oh, no. Okay, this is issue 14. Yeah, issue 14 is the one with Starscream like this. All right. This is issue 14. I'm just, I'm used to the Astrotrain cover here. All right, so issue 14 is the continuation of this storyline with Starscream and the these Mars guys, you know, him getting grafted onto the tank, the kitty cat who shows up, all this dialogue. We're getting more Genvo, Megatron, Starscream, that type of stuff. Starscream shooting these buddies. Astro Train coming in here and becoming a part of the story again. Hey, everybody. Man, we're getting a lot of people popping in now. The Cybertron shard is here. And, of course, somehow Starscream convinces these Mars guys to jump inside of Astro Train. This right here is also another fact that Brawl is alive. He's hanging on for dear life here on Onslaught's arm. And actually, I'm pretty sure he speaks. Yeah, right here. He speaks. So, again, I had always thought he was dead, but no, he's alive. He's crawling around. Pretty sure he has, yeah, he's got his old panel right down here, too. He's got quite a bit of dialogue here, so. Yeah. Mars guy. Starscream kills him. He just completely squashes. There's so much blood, man. Like, this guy's, like, begging for his life and crawls away and just gets absolutely squashed. Crazy. And so then we see, you know, kind of Starscream's brigade from Generation 1's Starscream coming back into his own, getting his crew back together, all that good stuff. You know, we get to see, again, kind of his descent into further madness with this issue. Okay. So issue 14. I'm putting down here. I know. I can't believe Delta hates issue 14. I know. Issue 14 I like. I like issue 14. It's a continuation of the story. I don't feel like there's anything in here that's unnecessary or stupid or lame, but I feel that it's very it's very uneven in my mind. You know, I'm fine getting all this Mars stuff. I don't mind it. You know, I know there's a lot of people who didn't like this issue because, oh, there's too many humans. Nah, I don't agree with you. These humans, you know, their characters are important here. But I feel like what I'm most interested in here is the backstory here to Starscream. And we're getting a good amount of it right here. And then I feel like it just kind of drops off. And we've almost kind of forgotten it. Again, I'm not saying it's a bad issue. I just think that it sits, out of everything we've looked at, it sits at the lowest. And so, if I were, here I'll say this, if I were positioning each of these issues from best to lowest, which I'm not, this one would be at the lowest. Again, I'm not taking the time to move all these in specific order. I'm just putting them where they are. So, yeah, this guy's right in here. Cool. But, all right. Issue 15. Poor Optimus getting stepped on. More goodness on Earth. This is when we kind of start to split the Earth and Cybertron stories into two. Where we're getting Cliffjumper on Cybertron with Alita and her crew, and then we're going back and forth with Optimus as well. Once again, sunrise, sunset. I'm pretty sure the sunrise. We're getting this put into the story. Again, it just always shocks me how much they were seeding this in the background, and I just never noticed. And then upon my reread, I was like, man, I feel like almost every issue we're getting this this background information here. So Chicago's getting all beat up, getting destroyed. People don't like big giant robots. Understandable. Optimus continues to have these really bad headaches where he's seeing these visions. This panel right here is legendary. Optimus bending the tank barrel. Really cool stuff. Shockwave, also a fantastic panel. Shockwave sending Laserbeak out. What do you know? With the sun behind him. Huh, how do you like that? This, I remember when this issue came out. I remember that this issue came out, and people despised this issue because they said, I can't believe that Daddy Ward Johnson has wasted Ramjet, that he killed him off. We could have gotten, like, 27 solo issues with Ramjet. Come on, guys. It's a comic. A, the character will probably come back at some time, and B, the story's not about Ramjet. And if you just put in, and I'll have to do a solo video on this. I know this is probably my grumpiest take on these comics. if you make all the characters who die nameless drones, like, oh yeah, that's the Decepticon drone, they don't have any names, then it doesn't mean anything. You see them die and you're like, okay. But instead, this you're like, oh, holy crap, Ramjet just bit the dust. And then you move on. Just because he died doesn't mean that you have to sell your toy. That's my point. You can keep your toy. In fact, just cover him in blue paint and it'll be accurate. Drinking Energon, crazy. Imagine killing your enemy and drinking their blood. I know it's not a 1-to-1. It's not a fair 1-to-1. Energon and blood, it's not a fair 1-to-1. Starscream showing up with the Decepticons. Love this panel right here with Starscream coming forward. Drives right past Optimus, and Optimus is just so confused as to what's going on. Hilarious stuff. Beautiful 2-page spread with Bruticus forming and Soundwave looking up like, uh-oh. Could have been a random seeker, not drone, just an unknown character. No, it is Ramjet. They did confirm. Well, that scene was metal. I do feel Danny Warren Johnson wasted Ramjet. Again, like I said, you know, this, I think it's easy to compare any comic in Transformers to IDW, which had, 13 years of story. We're only in year 2 right now. Ramjet can come back, but also, again, the alternative is having a character who's just a drone, who's nameless, and it really means nothing. So I know that Ramjet is some people's favorite, and those people would say, well, why didn't you kill Acid Storm? Well, Acid Storm is someone's favorite. So there's really no way of getting around it. No matter what you do, you're going to be killing someone's favorite. So just pick the one that you want to kill. Do I think he's wasted? No. No, because Ramjet exists in other continuities too. All right, 16. Ramjet is so unimportant, though. To some people love him. But he's not a main character. That's always my thing. Just like how Jazz doesn't do a whole lot in the series near Danny Warren Johnson's end, and people were upset by that. He's not one of the main characters. He's supporting. And Danny Warren Johnson loves Jazz. He said many times that he wished he had time to tell more Jazz stories, but he didn't. So, anyways, onwards. 16. This is Cliffjumper walking through his bombed home. Really sad. The battle continues between Decepticons. This is such a fantastic fight scene between these two guys. Astro Train coming in here. Flawed reasoning. I don't know what you're talking about. Well, Daniel Warren Johnson offed quite a few characters. I feel like Kirkman has been too toothless with killing characters. We'll get there. We're still in Johnson's territory right now. The confrontation of Thundercracker and Starscream, which really kind of puts into motion Thundercracker's betrayal of the Decepticons. You know, him going his own way. Optimus Prime still having trouble with these headaches. The arrival of Trailbreaker. Awesome stuff. Generational image down here. Everybody's using this image because it's a great image. Warpath is still alive, or, well, he was dead, and now he's back. Who knows? The Well of Sparks, talking about that. And then, of course, really, really big moment here. The fact that Megatron is still operational and that he's slowly making his way back to the Decepticons. Unsurprisingly, I really liked it. 17. This is 17. I think has one of the best covers that we have in the series, and once again, in hindsight, Thundercracker and Skywarp's story is really great. But I will admit, when I first read this issue, I was disappointed how little of this there was. Again, we can say, hey, it reads better in a trade, but as we said in the disclaimer, we're ranking these issues on their own, not the full story, not the trades. So, but this issue is doing a lot. This issue is catching us up with a lot of stories. Thundercracker, we're doing RC, Beachcomber, Carly, and Spike looking for Ultra Magnus. We get the wonderful Bumblebee head right here. Cybertron, introduction of Blades. Really great scene here where Blue Streak stands up against Alita. Fantastic scene. it will be covered in his video again, which is coming out. I think his comes after. I think I have a Cliff Jumper video, then a Blue Streak video, then it's Astro Train, then it's Jazz. I could have some of those mixed up, but these goobers as well, these Decepticon goobers come in here. We get them being fought. Love to see it. Again, I love how colorful Cybertron is. I love that it's not just Cybertron's gray. Sure. Whatever. Make it colorful. The Autobots coming together and fighting. And then, of course, the introduction of Shredhead. Such an awesome design. I really like it. I know this list is, people are looking at this list like, man, Delta's a shill. But I only have 2 in Masterpiece. I only have 2 issues in Masterpiece. Issue 18. Oh no, more Decepticons dying. No, not, which one is it? Is it Bitstream or Hotlink that dies? Again, I'm sure Bitstream and or Hotlink, I can't remember which one is which. Somebody will tell me here in the chat. I'm sure that they are somebody's favorite, but kill them. Let him die. Carnivac dying? Yeah, let him die. Again, I know Carnivac is a cool character in IDW, but it's Hotlink? All right. Well, that goes to show you. Oh, somebody says Bitstream. See, look, none of us know. So the fact that they're dead, whatever. A lot of great dialogue between Carly and Ultra Magnus. His giant gun and the humans being like, yeah, we could take on this giant robot. This giant robot who has, guns and has built a fortress. We could take him. Easy. Simple. Really great art here, by the way. I feel like the artwork in this section of the story is oftentimes overlooked by Corona. Fantastic stuff. Every Transformer is someone's favorite Transformer. Absolutely, Tom. And so it's impossible to escape, killing someone's favorite. It just is. So, and besides, Daniel Warren Johnson said many times it was his story to write, and so he did what he wanted, I'm sure if you had to kill some Decepticons, you would pick the ones that don't mean a whole lot to you. So, what is the funniest issue? Oh, I don't know about that. I'd have to think about that. Once we do this ranking, we'll think about it. Well, this is a pretty funny scene. Rumble being sent out basically to his death. Him saying I exist to kill, and him just immediately just disappearing into the wind. Hilarious moment that he's just, he's just gone. Oh, man. Love this combiner stuff. I also remember a big complaint of this issue was the scale. People were saying that the scale changes too often. That, how big are these combiners? It's a comic. It's Transformers. It looks cool. That's the main point. So, combiners fall. This confrontation between Soundwave and Starscream is, I think it's so poignant and so powerful and effective because Megatron returns. This is the final page of this spread. So when you see this word Starscream Soundwave, you don't know what's on the next page, and turning the page is this double spread with so little dialogue that I think as a reader it really just shocks you. If you think of it as like a TV show, when it just cuts to this wide angle shot and you're just like, oh my god, he's here. You didn't even know he was walking up. He's just here now, and everything stops. Everything, not in the room, but in the world, just stops because he is here. Could have been just random made-up seekers. Death of Bitstream and Hotlink don't bother me at all, though. Well, I mean, Bitstream and Hotlink are just made-up seekers. I mean, they're all made up, so, give them whatever name you want. Whether they're from G1 or not, if they have a name and they're someone's favorite. But yeah, Megatron showing up. Him repairing Ravage, finally. Finally. Ravage coming back to life. And this moment, Astro Train's like, nah, Starscream. Nah, bro. You're on your own now. It's not happening. And then Optimus and the Autobots realizing that they need to retreat. To nobody's surprise, I liked it. All right, Dumb Jake, I don't know if you're still here or not. I know the stream's been going on a while. We're at issue 19. We are at issue 19. If you're not here anymore, that's fine. I'll probably turn this into a video after the fact. Issue 19 is a part of the Megatron origin story. I do not at all mind the placement of this issue. I think it's smart that Megatron shows up, and he's a character that we don't really know. I mean, it's Megatron. It's like, oh, okay, Megatron. Everybody knows what Megatron's like. But I think it's smart that Megatron returns and that the next story we're told is more about who he is. A lot of people don't like this issue. And I think it's because it feels the least Daniel Warren Johnson. Not just because of the art. I like Ludo Lulabi, who does the artwork here. Originally I didn't, but with time I really enjoyed his artwork. Man, this one's a tough one. This one's a tough one because, again, it is so far... it's not disconnected, but it's so far away from what the story has been so far. In my opinion, I think the funniest issue is when Astro Train just slams into Megatron. 19 was the first dud for me. I have enjoyed 19 more over time. When I first read it, I was like, oh, okay. But over time, as I've read it, I have enjoyed it more. That being said, I do lean more towards what I really would have liked from this issue is a little more back and forth in the story. Seeing this backstory, but also seeing, kind of flash forwards as to him early days leading the Decepticons. This last page here is what I wanted. This stuff right here, where Megatron's leading the Decepticons, I want that interspersed within this issue. I think that would have helped it so much. I think that would have helped so much, seeing the back and forth between where Megatron came from and what he eventually became. I don't need the back and forth to be this stuff and then what's going on in these other issues. I don't need that. But a back and forth between, his early days and this time, whenever this time is, where is it? Whenever this time period is, I feel like that would have been a much better use of this concept of the story. I do agree with you, Matthew Wood. For me, this issue falls into cool needs work. Again, I know Dumb Jake is pulling out his hair right now, saying, no, it goes into the I wish I could go back in time and stop my parents from meeting, so I didn't have to read this. I will say, this is very close to being a no thanks. This is very close. Again, if I was ordering these, this would be at the very, very bottom. It is dangerously close into the no thanks. But I have to be honest that when I read it and reread it, I thought, oh, okay, sure, cool. I guess, I can't tell if Megatron is a triple changer now or if his old alt mode was replaced. Yeah, I don't think they've ever really specified that. How awesome would it have been for Megatron's backstory to be interspersed with his fight with Astro Train? Yeah, I think that could have worked. Mrs. Tryon asking how many issues are there. Currently, there's 35. 35 just came out the other day. Issue 20. Megatron versus Astro Train. Ultra Magnus and Doc. Again, I know so many people who read this issue and said, I do not care about G.I. Joe. Get this out of my Transformers. I think Doc is a great character. Whether you care about G.I. Joe or not, because when I read this issue, I couldn't give a crap about G.I. Joe. I really did not. I care about it now, but back then, nope. I still think that this is a great character. Again, whether you know Doc or not, or you care about G.I. Joe. The Sunrise conversation with Optimus and Spike. Very important. Very important to me, this issue. It's this monumental moment again, going back and reading how many times they were kind of seeding this idea is so important. But Spike giving Optimus this pep talk. I always point to this issue when I talk about Skybound Optimus not being like a perfect character, people are like, what are you talking about? He's Optimus Prime. He's perfect. He's wise. He's humble. I'm like, no, look at him here. He's doubting himself here. And he has to have Spike remind him of what he can do. It's followed up with a beautiful scene with the aerial bots who come back and give Optimus Prime this, this big hug and tell him, you've got it, Optimus. You can do it, buddy. The conversation between Shredhead and Cliffjumper, great stuff. Megatron's continuation and him bringing back Starscream, repairing Starscream just so he can, kick him around. And, of course, the culmination of that kind of trend of violence, which is the ultimate execution for Astrotrain. Astrotrain will not fall in line under Megatron's rule. And the ultimate punishment for Astrotrain is death, but it's a punishment that also kind of transfers over to Starscream, in Starscream having to use Megatron in his gun form. I don't think there would be. I would struggle to think anybody would disagree with me that I feel that this issue belongs in Masterpiece. What's up, Blitz? Nolan's saying you love the series. Absolutely. Aerial bot hug equals top 10 moments in the comic. Yes, Exodus. Yeah, for me, this is a Masterpiece issue. This was the issue that made me want to buy the original art from Jorge Corona, like the original page he drew. This is what spurred me into wanting to buy original art thanks to Carl's collection. And then I realized that on average, each page of Corona's Transformers is about $1,000 to $1,500. And I was like, that is absolutely reasonable. I cannot afford that. Never mind. Stuff's expensive, man. These pages are big. They're bigger than the comic you buy in the store. So to have that original page drawn, it's not a copy, it's not a scan, it's not a print. Very expensive. I know Daniel Warren Johnson pages went for even more. But I'm pretty sure that issue 20, every page sold out, I think, immediately. I think I can't remember. I'm pretty sure it sold instantly, so very expensive. 21, also a great issue. Shredhead learning about Carly, about all that. This is an issue I feel like is doing a lot of legwork for the Decepticons. Bobby says, do you think Robert Kirkman will dare wake Slipstream, Blitzwing, and Dirge from their nap soon, or just wait for 99 more issues? I have no idea. I feel like they will end the Transformers run at issue 50. Do you mean the whole entire story? I highly doubt that. They're going to milk this thing till the end of time. Have we got to the point where Delta ranks issue 27 as best in the series? Oh, there's Bunk, of course. Bunk has come to torture me. Bunk, tell Carl to get in here. Want to know what happened to Blades? Issue 21 is doing a lot of legwork to get the Decepticons into the position that they need to. I think a lot of people disliked their storyline here because it is a lot of walking and dialogue, but it's very necessary to place them in the right position, both physically and story-wise, character-wise, for the finale. So, we're starting to get some answers as what's going on with Optimus. The Decepticons attack the Ark. This great moment with Thundercracker and Skywarp. This is kind of where they exit the comic for a little bit. Some people, again, I think were upset originally that there was no conclusion to their story here, but issue 21 is really when Daniel Warren Johnson got into overdrive and said, okay, I have to close out the main character's story. Megatron and Optimus are coming to a head, so everything else that doesn't really push that forward needs to step aside. To be discussed and brought back later, of course, but Thundercracker and Skywarp, let's put them to the side for now so we can focus on, the two main guys fighting, the two big guys fighting. Even after Kirkman is long gone, Hasbro will still run the comic line. Hasbro's not running it, technically, but Image and Skybound, so Kirkman is technically always over it, but yeah, I do agree with you, yeah. Walking and talking are two of my favorite activities in comics. The Ark disappears. Oh, I know where this is. Superion shows up. Awesome moment, of course, which can only be led to Optimus getting Megatron's arm shot off, and unfortunately the death of Slingshot. Again, lots of people angry, but the reason that a character like Slingshot is killed is because you're not expecting to feel something by it, and you have to show the stakes. This gets into the whole shock value death thing. I've talked about it so many times here on the channel. I don't find this to be shock value. I mean, there is an essence of it. I don't think this is cheap. I'll say that. There's shock to it, yeah. I don't think this is a cheap death. You know, we need to show Megatron's got his arm back. Megatron is at full operation. I mean, look at this guy. He's huge. You know, if Megatron gets his arm back, he's at full power and he shoots and misses, how lame would that be? You'd be like, oh, okay. Look at this panel right here of nothing is even said, and you just have Starscream with the smoking gun. So you read this, you see Slingshot get shot off, you see the smoke, and you realize it's over. Slingshot's gone. You have to show Megatron's power, so somebody has to die. Who would you rather be, Optimus? No, it would be so lame if it was Optimus. Slingshot looks like a bald man in a sandwich. Did you order the Studio Series Energon Universe Optimus Prime figure? No, I didn't, and I won't. It's too expensive. Hasbro's asking a ridiculous price for it. I will not. I will be voting with my wallet and not buying that. Hopefully the Shredhead figure is a little cheaper. I doubt it, though. Slingshot was already suffering from death with that middle-aged man baldness. Oh, man. Shock value death. IMO, a shock value death that they were thinking of would have been like Spike actually dying or Soundwave losing a cassette. Perspective End has roasted Slingshot's death or head at length. Gotcha. Random question: is there anyone you can? If there was anyone you could add in the series, who would you add? Hoist, but he would die immediately because that's the type of character he is, and I'm okay with that. I love Hoist, but I do not see a role for him in the series right now. So, yeah, Slingshot dead. That was 21. Surprise, surprise. Delta is a shell, putting everything in. I really liked it. Don't worry, we're getting there, guys. We're getting there. 22. Where's Bumblebee? Mrs. Tryon doesn't know. This is the arrival of the humans who have come to help Optimus. And, of course, our poor little red bug making the ultimate sacrifice in his own life for Carly by sending Shredhead through the portal. And again, as we discussed with this last issue, this is the last we see of the Cybertron kind of escapade for a while. And that's because Johnson knows that he really has to laser focus in on the main story. And I think that this is a good place to end it off, you know, with Cliffjumper basically about to get his ass beat by Alita. Optimus still alive here. Still holding on, of course, until he drops the Matrix again. This amazing moment here where Spike says, you know, I can do this, Optimus. Let me make you proud. And he kind of steps into the Matrix just like his dad did. In a way, he puts his arm in. And Optimus grabs hold of him, and they have this connecting moment. And we get to see the Primes, the 13 Primes show up. Again, I know there's a lot of people out there. It's really split. There's a lot of people who love the 13 Primes. But then there's also a lot of people who don't like it, who don't like the more mythical side of Transformers. I think this is cool. I think this is a cool place to go at, where we have this amazing, awesome moment, and then we immediately cut over to Megatron digging up the deer. I was wilding out at this moment. This was crazy to me that Johnson and Corona would go here. That they were like, yeah, let's dig up that deer that was so important to issue 2. Let's just have Megatron dig it up. Crazy. And he squishes it and throws it, man. And again, it's a horrible action from Megatron, but it's supposed to be. It shows the tyranny in his system. It shows how evil he is. That we have this image of this deer that Optimus accidentally killed and that he buries because he's so sorry for what he did, because he doesn't know. and then you just have Megatron dig it up and throw it away. It just shows the kind of the antithesis between them. It shows the difference between them, that Optimus would be so caring to dig a grave for an animal that he accidentally killed because he didn't understand his strength. And then Megatron's like, bro, this guy's a baby. Squish, throw. All right, Mrs. Tryon, what the heck is wrong with Megatron? Exactly, that's the whole point of this. You know, that's why it is a good shock. The deer died again. This is another, death that people say is shock value, but it has a point. It's supposed to make you hate Megatron, which it does. It's vile. Why would you do that? Danny Warren Johnson didn't know anything about 13. Hasbro told him to do it. Hasbro, not necessarily. Danny Warren Johnson has spoken in his live streams. He and Kirkman worked together on those. But yes, 13 is a very Kirkman-heavy issue. So let's get the facts right. You think Skybound could make other original characters like Shredhead, or will it just be picking the large from pre-existing characters? I think they could. I think Kirkman has been pretty open that he loves animated and Prime, so I think he's going to be picking from there, as we'll see as we go on. So this is my favorite Megatron so far in comics. Yeah, he's like despicable, but he's done so well. Crush, thank you. Huge fan of watching your video since day one. Posted your video, thank you. Oh, you meant the 13 Primes. You are correct, yeah. Kirkman and Hasbro were like, hey, let's put these in here. But I think it works well. I think it fits in well. Random question, if you had to take away one character from Skybound series, who would it be? Oh, man, that's a good question. If I had to take away one character. Quit giving Hasbro money after this latest price hike. I think I'm going to buy Shredhead. Yeah, the Deluxe is going up to $30. I'm out. Shredhead is a Voyager, but he's a Hasbro Pulse exclusive. I bet you he's going to cost like at least $60. $60. I'm guessing around $80. But anyways, I'm not a toy guy. Ask somebody else. Who would I take out of the series? I don't know. I'll have to think about that, because I feel like for the most part everybody really serves a good purpose here. But yeah, 22. The military is getting in here. I'm trying to remember here. Ben right here is Ben Abernathy, which is he's the editor. One of these is Corona. I think this in here is Jorge Corona, the artist. Let's actually scroll down. General Flag and Carly. Carly serves up General Flag and, basically pushes him off. Ultra Magnus here escapes. Once again, amazing sunset scene right here. They're charging $100 for freaking Power of the Primes Optimal Optimus. That was a $35 figure in 2019, I think. Not that version. No, that version was a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive that comes with the throne. No, he was probably around 80 to 90 when he first came out, is my guess. So, Optimus on the road. Let's go down here. I'm really interested in this now, who these guys are. Ben Abernathy is also an ace fighter pilot. He was until his death at the hands of Starscream. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure these other fighter pilots are the other people in the series. I think I'm trying to remember. I don't know. I know this is the editor. I'm pretty sure none of these look like Corona, but I'm sure he drew himself in there at some point. Carl says peak. It's all peak. All right, guys. We can put this at an end. Carl's collection is here, and he's my favorite form of rating something. It's either peak or mid, nothing in between. Peak being 10 out of 10, mid being this one down here. I wish that I could go back in time and stop my parents from reading, so I didn't have to read this. Issue 23. Deltatron, have you seen The Odyssey? I have. I've seen it once, and I'm seeing it in September in 70mm IMAX. I liked it. It's a fun movie. Can't wait for Mrs. Tryon to see the part where Megatron eats a guy. Oh, man. All right, 23. Beautiful cover, once again. This is the penultimate issue here for Danny Warren Johnson's storyline. a lot of fighting in this one. Megatron still slapping around Starscream. A lot of stuff here with the Primes. Megatron walking through. Him finding Sparky. Yeah, this is where Sparky hops in and start driving around. This really wonderful scene where the Autobots and these humans are in the Alder Planetarium, and all of these humans come up to Optimus and tell him, that he saved him. We were in Tacoma, thought I was going to die. You saved me. You rescued us. Just a really heartfelt, beautiful moment that Optimus probably isn't really even aware of. And it shows the heart behind Johnson's writing. Decepticons still attacking. This is such a big moment. Again, I'm going to say this real quick after I burp. Excuse me. A lot of people discount this moment because of how Ultra Magnus's character is handled later. I understand that, and I do agree with that to a degree. But here, ranking these issues solely as an issue, not what comes after, not what's come before, I think this is a monumental moment here where Ultra Magnus stands up, and you have, again, like a movie, you have this moment where he stands up with the sword and he's shouting, he's yelling, and we have such this close-up and this small dialogue box with small text just makes me think that he's like saying it under his breath. Kind of, this is the what is it? Which Avengers movie is it? The Avengers Assemble. How dare you want me to like Media Delta? Nerdy, you know me. This is the Avengers Assemble movie from whatever Marvel movie that was in, where you have the music swelling, all these characters come up, and then, Avenger. I'm pretty sure he yells Avengers, and then he like whispers, "Assemble." You're thinking about Endgame. Okay. I can never remember which one it is. That's this moment, and then everybody screaming is them walking forward. And then this awesome Decepticons, Autobots, and then everybody charging at each other and fighting. Again, it's important that I understand that the culmination of this battle that we're seeing here, I would agree with a lot of people. I would have loved to see more of it. Space is limited on the page, but again, we just got to cover each issue as each issue. Beachcomber realizing that more war is happening. Once again, we're going back to this kind of design in his visor with the fire. Optimus is still inside the Matrix. Dead Bumblebee again. Love to see it. Statue of Sparky, where I'm kind of pushing through here. More battle going on. Starscream's messing things up by trying to kill Optimus too early. Beachcomber taking a hit, sacrificing himself for Optimus and Carly. And here it is. The issue that made me cry. We all know it. We all know it. Monumental. Mrs. Tryon says awful seeing Bumblebee dead. You're right, Mrs. Tryon, but this is why it's so awful, because you have such a powerful moment, that 2 years in, you get this, beautiful moment of Optimus remembering the ones that he's lost and having that connection between Optimus and Sparky, and having that moment of loss, of sadness for the ones that you've lost and for the ones that are still alive. Sparky will never see his son again, and because he sacrificed himself for it. And generational panel. Sparky saying, let me save you now. Promise me he won't be alone. And Optimus saying, I promise you. Megatron coming in, of course. And once again, this final page, you have to turn the page here, if you had it physically, to see this next panel, which is Optimus standing up and saying, they're under my protection. And the one shall stand and one shall fall. So, this, to me, is a masterpiece issue because of everything in it. Because of this amazing moment with Ultra Magnus finally standing up. Amazing. And then you're looking at this and you're thinking, how are they going to top this? How are they going to top such a crazy moment? And then you get to this really tender moment, and you realize he did top it. Johnson and Corona did top it. They outdid themselves just phenomenally. Beautiful. Everybody's saying beautiful in chat. Yeah. This is a masterpiece issue. 24, issue 24. I stand by. When issue 24 came out on Teletrend Tapes, we actually did a live stream of this issue, and I stand by my thoughts on this issue, and we'll get to it as we go through here. Optimus and Megatron fighting. I will never get over the fact that, once again, this is a good use of the character. It's horrible, but it's a good use of the character that Megatron just steps on these people. They're just dead. They're gone. You know? He just kills them. Horrible. Horrible that he does that. But the point is to show how despicable of a character he is and how Optimus has to push back against that. If Megatron sees his family, he's like, hey, why don't you guys walk away and then I'll step on your car? You know, no. He would step on these characters. He does have that honor. Again, we've talked about many times on the channel how this Megatron has kind of a twisted sense of honor. He believes that he is the one true way to save Cybertron, and that there is some type of maybe not redemption, but there is something about him. Again, honorable. People here are honorable and get really upset. Ask Swizz. But he is a horrible person. He's a despicable, horrible person. He's just killing these humans because he sees them beneath him. How are we supposed to like the megalomaniac tyrant murderer if he kills people, though, Delta? Sorry, Nerdy, you're not supposed to like him. Supposed to be a bad guy. Average Megatron deed? Yeah. Yeah, just an average day for Megatron. Yeah. Yeah, even down here, Megatron, you can't save Cybertron this way. That's all he cares about is saving their home. He's despicable. Crazy scene here where Starscream and Laserbeak pick up Optimus and just drop him, and he just gets impaled. Just crazy stuff. The Autobots are pretty much defeated. Again, this right here is where people say that this issue undoes what issue 23 does. That they lost the battle. I don't agree. Don't agree with that. Starscream picks up some squishies. Beachcomber is kind of this ultimate test of Optimus. Optimus has to choose between Beachcomber and the humans, and I know if Carl's still listening here, I know he loves this scene of Beachcomber saying, "Let it be me," and Optimus is unwilling to choose. Optimus is unwilling to choose to sacrifice anyone's life, even when one of those options is saying, "Hey, it's okay." Even when Beachcomber is saying, "It's okay, I'm willing to die for this," Optimus is like, "No, I'm not willing to let you die for this." Optimus, that's why Megatron thinks Optimus is weak, because he won't choose. He will not choose between the two. Optimus says, "No, I want both to live." And then we have this amazing reveal of Beachcomber. He's the best of us. Carl's right. Omega Supreme flying over. Once again, Optimus is out to win the war, not the battle. It's interesting you say that, Nerdy, because I think of that dialogue that we're going to get to later in Kirkman's run, which I think is really important when Ultra Magnus and Optimus are having a disagreement. And you get that reveal that Optimus wants to end the war and Ultra Magnus wants to win the war. And it's a very interesting kind of back and forth. Starscream's moment of not redemption. I remember there's a lot of back and forth about this back in the day. Oh, Starscream is redeemed. No. Starscream has this moment where he falters on who he is and what he's going to do, and he decides that he's not Starscream, and kablamo. Again, if it were a movie or a TV show, you hear this scene of him making his final decision and just this wide shot of the blast. Blammo. Starscream, dunzo, gone. Megatron just angry, just, pissed. His diaper's fully loaded. Look how big that guy's diaper is. Crazy. And he decides that he's going to do it himself, and Shredhead shows up. Again, a lot of people didn't like this at the time because saying, oh, Daniel Warren Johnson's just putting his insert character. Come on, guys. If any of us were writing a Transformers comic, we would create a character we put in there. Also, Shredhead's not an insert character. Shredhead is nothing like Daniel Warren Johnson in that regard. Amazing scene here. I love this shot of Soundwave just launching himself and then just getting thrown across the battlefield. Shredhead saying that Cliffjumper says hello with Carly's reaction. Fantastic. And then him helping Optimus turn the tide for the battle. So many people said that this was such a bad ending because Optimus doesn't do anything. Excuse me. And Shredhead wins the battle. Shredhead doesn't. Shredhead helps turn the tide, but Optimus is the one who pays off the final blow to Megatron for this story. I don't think Starscream can be redeemed, not because it's impossible, but because he doesn't want redemption. I would agree. Yeah. Soundwave be doing the Darth Vader scream. Yeah. Absolutely. No, as he falls. Yeah. So yeah, Megatron's up in the air. The Combiner's catching him and then running off. We get this little confirmation that Starscream is indeed still hanging around. Some people thinking Megatron eating Trailbreaker was out of nowhere, but I remembered that moment of him stomping on the family. It just made so much sense to me. Dude's just ruthless when he thinks it has a point. Yeah. And of course, the ending to Daniel Warren Johnson's story, this full circle moment where we see Spike being born. Sparky in the hospital when he first lays his eyes on his son, and that through line to Optimus with Spike, and this beautiful moment with Beachcomber where he says, "You are the best of us." This is such a fantastic panel right down here with Optimus and Beachcomber. So fantastic that it's an emoji in the Delta Trion server. So important. And this final discussion with these characters kind of showing off what I think is the most important characters of this story that Daniel Warren Johnson has been telling on the Autobot side, which is Carly, Optimus, Sparky, and Spike. And I love that these guys are in the same position because, at least the way I read it, is Optimus is looking at Spike and sees Sparky within him. And he says, of course, the Matrix, the light within the Matrix is small, yes, but still mighty. And it's that full wraparound moment back from, it's like was it issue 4? I think it's issue 4 where that first comes up. That Sparky is small, but he's mighty. So, yeah. Fantastic issue. Oh no, Delta Trion put it in the I really liked it and not the masterpiece section. Oh no. Delta hates Daniel Warren Johnson. Oh no. I stand by my thoughts when this issue first came out. I think that as a finale to Daniel Warren Johnson's story, it is perfect. It is as perfect as you can get. However, as a standalone issue, I really liked it. I don't think it's a masterpiece. I don't know what I would have changed to make it a masterpiece, but I do think that it is super close to being in between masterpiece and I really liked it. But it's sitting right here for me. Perfect finale, yeah. Perfect wraparound. Again, as a finale, I think it's fantastic. I think it's a masterpiece. But as a single issue, I think there's some areas in there like just barely, just a hint of something else would have put it up in this masterpiece section right here. 23 and 24 are two-part finale masterpiece, yeah. And again, if we were looking at these comics more so as, the exact story that was being told, same with 13 and 14. Where's 14? Down here in Cool Needs Work. It would be easier to put 13 and 14 together. But since I'm ranking them as individual issues, that's kind of where that breakup comes from. Oh boy. Oh boy. Now we get into the scary section. Oh no. I know, an hour and 30. There's no way this is going to be a video that's taking so long. the scary section of the ranking. Issue 25. Robert Kirkman jumping in. The handoff from Jorge Corona over to Dan Mora. Megatron losing it on his guys. I love the reactions of everybody here. Everybody's kind of, just really having a... I love that Vortex is my favorite. He's like rubbing his arm because he just doesn't want to... He doesn't want to be here. Here comes the hatred. Yeah. Kirkman era. Here comes the tomatoes. Delta will have to throw at him. Here it comes. We're close to crash out. We're about an hour and 30 minutes now. Oh my goodness, it's taking so long. Well, goodbye. Gonna go sleep because I live in France and it's currently 2:22 a.m. See you, Bobby. People saying this is good. I love the transition between Jorge and Moore's work. Yeah, Megatron saying, "Hey, we're supposed to be cool. We're supposed to be the bad guys." Awesome panel right here, the All Hail Megatron, which goes all the way back to the All Hail Starscream. A fantastic moment here. Starscream still alive, and this really cool, transitional piece between Autobot, Decepticon and Autobot. So, we'd already seen a lot of this, so we were kind of prepped for the new artwork change. Optimus having this conversation with the girl. I really like the artwork here. This conversation that these two characters have. I really do not like the dialogue. I don't want to spend too much time harping on the things I don't like. I think we're all aware of what we do and don't like with Kirkman. I like this moment. I like the concept. I like where this story beat ends up. I just don't like the dialogue. That's it. I like they both have the mask. They talk about that. Optimus says, "You and I are the same." Yeah. And then he says, recognizing that is the first step to becoming a compassionate being, which all sentient life should strive to be. Okay. Yeah. I was scared of you, but now I'm not. You're not a bad robot like those other ones. Yeah, sure. I refuse to believe that anything can truly be that bad. Great line there. I love that line right there. Rolls off the tongue. Yeah, even I was having trouble. Yeah. Again, the concept and what they're trying to say here, I like. It's just the actual execution of it in my mind is really clunky. Ant, what's up? What did you miss? We're in the Kirkman era now. I think these panels work better with no dialogue. Yeah, we did get that rare opportunity to see them without dialogue. But I do think there is some dialogue needed here, so. 100% art told us everything we needed to see here. See, Carl's on your side. Autobot's still here. Beachcomber. RC. This is the first issue of Mora's, and so I know a lot of people like Dan Mora's art. I'm not the hugest fan of his art for Transformers, but this is the first issue, so as we normally see, it takes a few issues for that artist to kind of get on board with what they're doing, to become more, what's the word I'm looking for, comfortable with what they're doing it. Soundwave is here. He wants his Megatron, he wants his daddy back. Beautiful shot here of Optimus Prime. This fight here, really cool stuff here. This really cool kind of slam down moment here with Soundwave. Soundwave just getting bodied. Poor guy. Him getting arrested by Wheeljack. And then, of course, the return of our favorite human, Chiseled Steel, son. Chiseled Steel. Mora would do some great Yellow Park toy packaging art. Yes, yeah. Chiseled Steel, son, is here. He's here. The Ark has still disappeared. The reveal of dinosaur bones with Wheeljack. I wonder what that could be. Do you think they're doing Beast Wars? I'm joking, guys. I know what that is. I know who that is. Okay? Calm down. It's Skylinks, of course. Anyways. Again, I have to talk about this. I have to mention the dialogue here again. So, Wheeljack, boom, he's in the Ark. How? Yeah, that's a real shocker. Okay, next panel. So the Ark's back wild. Yeah, That's a real head scratcher. All right, moving on. The reveal of Shadow Watch. We're now kind of combining in the sections of Transformers and the broader Energon universe with G.I. Joe. I like it. I enjoy it. Once again, I feel like the Energon universe has done a good job of connecting these different storylines and comics in a way that you're never being called stupid for not having read the other comics. I think it's a really easy thing to do, where something is introduced and the comic basically says, yeah, hey, go back and read 20 other issues. I feel like the Energon universe has done a good job saying, hey, there's other stuff going on. If you haven't read it, it's okay. We're gonna get you up to date, and we're gonna make these things intersect, but it's not gonna be required reading. But I do think it is worthy reading. I think it's absolutely worth reading those other titles to catch up on. Mora settled in for sure, but for the long haul, Howard's art gives us more emotion, which with most Kirkman dialogue is necessary. I do agree. I didn't really grow up with G.I. Joe, but they are starting to grow on me. I did not either. I cared nothing at all for G.I. Joe. And then Carl's Collection, who's in the chat here, bullied me into reading it. The only thing I knew about it was that Snake Eyes is cool and Cobra Commander's a bad guy. Absolutely love the G.I. Joe comic. Again, I have no connection to it, really. Fantastic run. Really fun comic, and also a great part of the Energon universe. Issue 30 has a lot of controversial. Yeah, we'll get there. We're on 25. I feel like we're going slower now. Energon, Miles Drip Mayhem. Middle name is Drip. This guy's totally not a bad guy. His introduction, some jazz and stuff. Thundercracker's returning. He's come back from Globulus's land. That is his real name. Globulus. Love Globulus. And then we're wrapping up this issue. This is a double-sized issue, so that's why this one's taking so long. With Buff Alita, super strong Buff Alita, basically saying Optimus Prime is, he's our enemy now. We're going to kill Optimus Prime. They made Duke look cool. That was an accomplishment in the G.I. Joe. Yeah. Okay. All right. I think we've gone over this issue enough. Cool needs work. That's sometimes you just got to keep it a buck and just be like, yeah. I read that issue. I was like, all right. We shall see where we go. Seems like you're dragging to avoid what's coming. I don't blame you. No, I think that's the transitionary issue, and it is a double issue. These other ones I think will go a lot quicker. I do want to say, Mike Spicer still doing great coloring here with Dan Mora's artwork. That's the best rating for 25. Yeah. Thundercracker fighting the Autobots. Bada bing, bada boom. Ultra Magnus coming in saying, no, sneaky Decepticon, bad. And Optimus kind of saving him, saying, let's have a conversation here. The infamous ... Sometimes has good use. More stuff with G.I. Joe. I believe this is where... So I like this section here. I like the kind of... the issues going on between Optimus and Ultra Magnus. I think it's really important that they're having these issues with each other. We still have Spike and Carly, which I was happy for. I was scared that they were just going to get thrown to the side, but they're here. Miles Mayhem. This is when we start getting into issues. We're getting a lot of allocation here that I don't think is great. If there's any concept from Transformers you can add, what would it be? Again, these are all great questions. I'd have to think on these. Mike Spicer and Sarah Stern are severely underrated parts of this book. Their coloring pops so much, yeah. Back to Cybertron. More of the same, more arguing. Skywarp is brought back online. He has no memories of what had happened before. Okay, that's a choice. I do love this right here where Thundercracker and Skywarp kind of have their breaking point between them. Sad. This is the Lorem Ipsum page. Megatron is getting a headache. That's the end of the issue. I'm not a fan of the mask shoehorn, honestly. I don't mind it at first, but I do think it gets worse. This one's going in the cool. Needs work for me. 27. Bumblebee's dead, guys. In case you forgot, he's dead. These guys, more Autobots. Everybody's chit-chatting. Bulkhead's here for some reason. Spike and Carly want to get dinner. Cool. Sure. Confrontation between these two characters. Yes, we need that. It happens. Skywarp comes home. The conversation between Optimus and Thundercracker. Oh, man. Super important scene. One that I think ultimately... Man, I don't know. The dialogue here is really rough. Really rough. Less is more. General Flag just talks too much for me. I actually like General... I think, Carl, if you're still here, you can talk to that. I think it's on brand for General Flag. He's a slimy kind of guy who's always talking his way out of situations. I think it makes sense for him. The amount of dialogue here... I like where the story's going with Thundercracker. Again, it's the execution. It is the execution here. I don't think this is necessary. This, I believe you already have. I think is one of the worst decisions. Just get rid of that. Just let the artwork speak for itself. Like right here. Let the artwork speak for itself. You don't need the ... I'm starting to crash out. Miles Mayhem stuff. Chiseled steel, son. Normally I would say this is not a good section because of that, but it's where we get the introduction of chiseled steel. So everybody was, freaking out. Oh, my favorite Decepticons are here. Optimus says, hey, let's bring them back on. Maybe they could be good guys too. Okay, sure. Hey, Blaster and Sideswipe are here. Okay, we're done with them. Ultra Magnus RC. Great stuff. Bro, who even cares about Mask? Mask is a great comic. If you're not reading it, it's a really fun comic. Thundercracker has his Autobot symbol. Again, concept cool. Execution, way too quick here. And then Optimus is back. And then the big reveal that Shockwave is still alive. I don't have an issue with Shockwave being alive. I just want to point that out. That's fine. That didn't bug me. Everything else in this issue did. So, Flag has absolutely grown on me. Absolutely. Yeah, the introduction of Shorb. Yeah. Cool. Needs work. Needs work. Once again, I hit the space bar on that. Sorry, guys. All right, let's try and get through this. Issue 28. Boom, boom. Megatron's angry. Oh, no. Skywarp has come back. RC becoming a Magnus. Love the idea. Awesome. Let's do it. That's it. Those are her trials. That's what we get to see. Her shooting people. Great panel right here of Soundwave holding Ravage. The conversation here is good. Again, dialogue is clunky. And here it is. Here it is. I want you guys to keep in mind here. RC becoming a Magnus. Love the idea. 1 page. Miles Mayhem. Important. 4 pages. This is a nice moment between these two characters. RC Magnus. Cool. I like it. Love it. Give these characters an upgrade. This is the section I was talking about, kind of ending the war versus beating the war, and the struggle between Optimus and Ultra Magnus, which I think is really important. Everybody loves Alita. She's so Alita. Sorry, RC. Nobody loves Alita. RC Magnus is cool. Love this. Making me think of the Brady Bunch. Everybody's here. Woohoo! Wait a second. Where's Trailbreaker? He's a snack. He's trail mix. He's icky. This is where also we get freak warp down here. So this is a really tough issue to score. I'm going to read some chat here to try and take my mind off of it. I feel like Mora only being on for 6 issues made Kirkman rush these plot points to make the most of his time on the art. Love the mask stuff here. Some of my favorite Mora art from the arc. But yeah, wanted more of the trials. Trail breakfast. Yeah. I don't think RC needed the upgrade, but I don't think she loses anything by getting one. I like the progression. They need to set up some sort of stakes to actually flesh out the plot points they introduce. I feel your pain wishing things would be better. Starts off strong and then has a lot of growing pains while trying during the transition. Yeah. This is a really tough one because of that page allocation. I have been enjoying Mask. I like Miles Mayhem, and that is coming as somebody who's reading all the Energon Universe titles. I really struggle with the page allocation to give Miles Mayhem 4 pages and RC's Trials just 1. Because of that, it makes me want to put it down in no thanks. But I don't want to put it down in no thanks because I do think there are a few things here that are right, that are being done. I like Optimus and Ultra Magnus having issue. I like Trailbreaker's death. You know, it's setting up some stakes here. So, man, this is a really tough one. This is a really tough one. I think it's going to go in Cool Needs Work. But it's really close to no thanks. You know, it's really close to a no. This was a fun Teletran Tapes discussion on the issue. Great ideas, poor execution. Yeah. 3 issues in and Mask has been a fun read. It has been a fun read. RC was great the way she was. Small, sneaky sniper, but she gets down when she needs to. I'm going to lead it in Cool Needs Work. Issue 29. This is when Sarah Stern hops in. I believe Spicer was out for this issue. Optimus is here. They're going to fight. Everybody's fighting. This is the big fight issue. Sorry, guys. This was my first no thanks issue. This one's a tough one. Well, I mean, it's not a tough one. It's tough to talk about because I like fighting. I don't have a problem with this just being fighting. I don't have a problem with that. There's so much confusion that came from this issue. Just so much. Like, wait, what? Huh? Wait, why is that character? Wait a second. Okay. I felt like every page I was confused. And not in a good way of, oh man, what's going on here? I'm going to study this page. It literally was, I do not understand what is happening here. I don't. This moment here, Megatron with what's his face? I'm blanking on people's names. Thundercracker, and then it's just like, oh nope, moving on. It's like, oh okay. All right, this page, infamously, I really dislike this page. You know, with I don't even know people's names. Devastator, Retreat. Oh wait, where are these characters? Wait, are they alive? Wait, no, they're up in his hand. And then the ending, oh man, we got to get Megatron. Oh, okay. This issue where the Magnuses show how they accomplish a mission by not. I also really dislike the way Soundwave talks in this writer's run. I think they can form a half-devastator. I don't have a problem with the half-devastator. From a purely art perspective, there's a lot of issues with panel layout and composition. Yeah. the staging throughout this issue made no sense. Yeah. Yep. I have to put this one in the no thanks. I just really do. Again, oh man, it's just really rough. It's just really rough. I think it was more the panel layout than the story issues, but the writing doesn't help me. Yeah, this is the one issue within Skybound that I don't want to read again. All the others, I'm like, yeah, I'll give it another read. But this one, I actively want to skip. All right, this is where everybody gets their pitchforks out. This is where everybody gets their pitchforks and torches, and so I'm just gonna. I don't even know what to say because I feel like there's been so much conversation. I made so many videos on this. I've gotten in so much trouble on the internet with this issue. What can I say that I haven't already said? Cool concept. Poor execution. In my mind. I will say if you have not watched Moonbase 3's video on Volume 5, I highly suggest it. He convinced me to read back through these issues as a volume, and I like them a lot better. But again, we're ranking the issues themselves here, not the volume. I find it stupid that she decided to argue with Optimus rather than finish off Megatron. That's something that's talked about later in the series that I feel like makes a lot of sense. But again, per issue here. This is cool. Optimus now. I like that. Cool. Autobots getting their badges scratched out. Them walking away, and we complete our mission somehow. Yeah. Well, what are people saying here? The artwork is amazing. It's the positive I will give it. I don't mind what happened in 30, but the delivery of those events came at the expense of the characters. I stopped reading after this issue. Well, then you might want to tune out after this because we're continuing. Oh boy. I'm going to put it in cool needs work. And I know that's probably going to upset a lot of people because I think it's so easy to look at this issue and go, no, this should be down, and I wish I could go back in time and stop my parents from reading so I didn't have to read this. But I'm going to put this in cool needs work. Where the characters end up in this issue, I like. I like the switch up of the Matrix becoming Elita's. I just think the way that we got there is so compromised. I think it's compromised. Again, I'm not ordering these as to this is the one I like the most versus the one I like the least. But if I was, this would probably be at the bottom of the cool needs work. It would. So, absolutely. Matrix need a fix. One thing I found a little disappointing is how Elita banished Team Prime. I think it's on purpose. I think you're meant to dislike her for that. Got so invested in the stream, I accidentally overpowered my laundry detergent. Uh-oh. The Matrix choosing her makes sense because it guides. Optimus was apparently ruthless in the past and yet changed so she can. 25 through 30, clunky, very clunky. Yeah, Carl's right. Carl's right. I just think that's where that issue stands for me. Issue 31, more Megatron background stuff with Ludo Lalabi. Oh, wait, hold on. Someone says disagree. I don't know. Maybe if it handled differently, she needed to have a redemption arc first. Well, so I disagree with you, Public. We're getting there. I don't think Elita needed an redemption arc at 30. I think that is something that we're slowly working on. And so I'm glad that they didn't rush that. That she was just like, oh, I love you, Optimus, again. Now we're best friends. Yeah. Issue 31, the drag began. The second Kirkman arc has felt a bit better to me. Issue 31 is more Megatron backstory. I think this one is much more. It is paced better. It is a better issue than 19. We got some cool reveals here. We got Trailbreaker in the background. Megatron, kind of the explanation of his powers and how these things work. The giant Decepticon throne. Megatron finally, you know, kind of understanding who's controlling him, who's pulling the strings. Matrix of Oppression with Megatronus. Love this page right here. This is something that I think is probably one of the only benefits to being on digital, is that you can swap between these two pages and see the exact composition between these two. These two right here. Super, 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 super cool. Yeah. Much needed. Megatron. This is what I look like Monday after work. Just passed out. These guys just watching Megatron being like, man, what's happening to him? Hello. New people coming in. By second Kirkman arc, I'm referring to his second volume to his first volume. Oh, you're comparing them. I love how they added the fallen Grand Regent Megatronus. Megatron having a boss is overdone. I hope he becomes Super Megatron. Yeah. For me, 19 is... Oh, man. This one's a tough one. There's nothing really in 19, sorry, 31. There's nothing in 31 that I really dislike. I'm going to put it in I really liked it. I know that people probably will not agree with me. But I did. I liked it. There was nothing in it that I thought, oh, this is boring, or oh, get rid of this, or this is bad. I thought it was a good, yeah, I thought it was a continuation of more story for him. Calling it 19. Yeah, I get 19 and 31 mixed up. They're both the Megatron solo issues. I remember the Delta in the pool video he sent in the server, and that panel of Megatron makes me think of it. For him to be Galvatron would not make sense. Yeah, hopefully they don't do Galvatron. 31 is the only issue I absolutely run. Ludo's art is really good. You're one of the best Transformers YouTubers in my opinion. Oh, thank you, Nolan. $32 Shorbin time. This is the beginning of Jason Howard on art duties. This is, without a doubt, I think his weakest issue, because he's, again, takes time to kind of acclimate to these characters and whatnot. People hated this issue, man. People hated this issue when it came out. They said, man, this is so unfair that Kirkman is introducing all these cool characters and he kills them all off. He doesn't kill them all off. People said Kirkman lied to us. They said he killed Bumblebee again. Kirkman never said Bumblebee was coming back to life. Nobody lied to you. Bumblebee's still dead. He's just a punching bag. A bunch of cool characters. Shorb. These Decepticons coming in. People saying, how come each Decepticon isn't getting 20 issues of solo story? They're not the main character. They're here. People love to hate on this scene here where Alita hits the Matrix. It makes sense for her character. And it makes sense for the type of character she is. People say Alita gets rewarded for being a bad person. Disagree. Disagree. Horrible take if that's what you read from this. Swoosh, swoosh. Slice up some Decepticons. And they escape. Of course, the mention of Alpha Trion down here. Rip Bumblebee. Transformers animated. Instant 10 out of 10 issue. Love the Matrix sword so much. Love how they added Octane. Jazz should have stayed on Earth. We're getting there, man. Kirkman said that we'll get to the issue where that's explained. This one, I liked it. Yeah, I really liked it. It was cool. I think people hated on that one big time. Issue 33. I was very surprised that we continued to get more Cybertron. I thought we weren't going to see Cybertron for a long time. But we're continuing on here with Blue Streak, and of course the reintroduction. Well, actually, I guess the introduction for the first time in Transformers with Springer and Hot Rod. They have been in Void Rivals, where they were in Void Rivals for quite some time. So, yeah. Also, yeah, it's been funny to see both sides of not liking this run. That Alita is either horrible and should have never gotten the Matrix, and others saying that Kirkman hates her despite this upgrade. Blue streak being not depressed issue. Yeah, it is true. His depression is gone. Yeah. Springer was in it from like issue 9 to 23 of Void Rivals. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I can't remember. Back to the humans. I like this introduction of Spike's journal. I think it's neat. Seeing this younger Optimus with Beachcomber is cool. Just fight back and forth. Carly, Optimus. Discussion with Optimus and Spike. I think the dialogue's getting better here. We're getting set up for Wheeljack. More Globulus. We love Globulus. This section here, I think, is some of Kirkman's best writing because of this conversation, this back and forth with Optimus and RC Magnus, with her saying how much she hates Elita, and Optimus saying, no, you're wrong, and the back and forth. Why didn't she just kill Megatron? Well, here's that situation, and this great line here of RC Magnus saying, you think you're both somehow right, but what if you're both wrong? And just this panel of Optimus just kind of staring off like, Fantastic, fantastic stuff right here. Wheeljack falling. Not so good. Dialogue. Not as good here. With Shredhead and Cliffjumper. More Decepticons. Not much is happening with the Decepticons still, but it does necessarily lead into the reveal of Shark Scream, as we like to call him. So, Dinobot setup. Yep, Optimus design is peak. I love Void Rivals. I'm more interested in the Transformers at this point. Looking through chat here. Hot Rod was in it for like 15 issues. Oh, yeah, we already read that one. Yeah. This one, yeah, I liked it. I'm actually going to put this in cool needs work. Cool, but it needs work. Some of the dialogue is really good. Some of the dialogue is really bad. Issue 34. Somehow Starscream survived. He always survives. Optimus has a mouth. Flag doesn't like that. This conversation between Spike and him. A kind of remembrance towards Jimmy. Make sure we're not forgetting that. Thundercracker and the aerial bots. Shredhead fighting the Combaticons. The mid one, people are saying. Haven't had much issue with Kirkman's dialogue. What combined team would you add? Oh, I don't know. And this is when I'm out of the loop due to laziness. Well, sorry, Blitz. The introduction of Dr. Arkeville. Woohoo! Optimus. Shredhead fights Bruticus. Smash. Bruticus gets sword through the eye. And oh no. No. Shredhead. Yeah, cool. Needs work. Yeah, that issue was the issue where I tapped out, not because I was unimpressed with the issue, but because of the community. So Howard's art is great in this issue. Yeah, great art. Great art in this issue. This is this week's issue. So if you have not read issue 35, spoilers, we're going to be looking through it. So if you haven't read it, stop watching. Thanks for swinging by. So bye. About Flag being a moron point, always getting played. You know it's coming with Doc Arc. I don't think Flag is a moron. I think Flag is a slimy type of character who's always trying to just get by. And he knows these characters that he's employing are bad guys, and that's just the way he works. I don't think he's a moron, though. Wheeljack issue. I think this has been the best art that we've had from Howard. I think he's really come into his own. Exosuit popping up. Wheeljack talking to himself. People are saying it's bad because Wheeljack is now a crazy person. He's not a crazy person. He just talks to himself. Who knows what this is going to be? I wonder what this light is going to be. Who could that be? Starscream still here. Beautiful use of light and shadows here on Optimus with Shredhead. Again, I think this is Howard really coming into his own with the artwork here. this kind of back and forth with Cliff and Optimus. There's kind of some tensions going on here. Teletran Tapes episode is coming on this, guys. Don't worry. I'm editing it still. This page, actually, the guys on Teletran Tapes and I were talking. We feel like this page could have been completely removed. We could have shown all of this later in the comic in these pages. This page is here, and we're like, all right. I love this section here. Hey, Soundwave saying, is Onslaught dead? He certainly looks dead, but lately, who can even tell anymore? Nobody dies in these comics, guys. It's comics. It's comics. More stuff. Beachcomber sitting down here. Dr. Arkeville, poor Shred, or, yeah, poor Shredhead. Poor Bruticus, just with the sword still stuck in him. Taking Bruticus's innards and putting them inside of Shredhead. Interesting to see where that. I really hope that this doesn't turn into, oh, Shredhead's evil now because we took some of I said Bruticus, Onslaught's parts and put them inside of him. Come on, bro, don't do that. Please don't do that. You know. Correction, nobody but B stays dead. Again, fantastic artwork here. I really enjoy the conversation here that's between Skywarp and Thundercracker. This kind of back and forth of, hey, are you really an Autobot? Or maybe you're just kind of playing them. This stuff here is really great. Skywarp saying that he's a constant source of shame. Great stuff here. Great stuff between these two characters. I'm really glad that they're continuing to have this back and forth and have this kind of these kind of character moments. I wish other aerial bots do more, saying not just Silverbolt. I think Shredhead having Onslaught's parts will make him have a rivalry with the Combaticons. Possibly. Thunderclap, yeah, very cool. Very cool that we get to see that. And then, of course, big old Blizzard and the introduction, or the reintroduction, really, of Cobra Law. Cobra Law coming back into the story. Very excited for that. Issue 35 goes into I really liked it. I really, really liked it. And that is all the issues that we have. That's it. So as you can see, there's not been an issue that has made me say I wish I could go back in time and stop my parents from reading so I didn't have to read that. Thankfully. Because we all know that I would go back in time and do that. That I have the ability to do that. What kind of catchphrase is Cobra la 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 la? Yeah, I bet you when they put that down, they thought that it sounded cooler. And then they got to it, and they were like, oh, you know what? This doesn't really work. Who knows? I do enjoy Cobra Law. I am excited to see them come back into the story. Let's get some water here. Mrs. Tryon says, but then we wouldn't have met, yeah, if I went back in time. Well, that's why there's no issue that I would have gone back in time to erase myself from. Delta, would you ever do another one of these whenever the next writer after Kirkman finishes their run as well? I think this being an infrequent series would be cool. Do you mean another list? Originally, this list I was just going to do Danny Warren Johnson's issues. But I realized that, again, it really would just be everything in the top 2 tiers for the most part. Now, the content on the channel moving forward, probably for the rest of the year, will primarily just be Danny Warren Johnson-focused character studies. Once Kirkman wraps up his writing, or he gets to issue 48, then I'll go back and do, 2-year, kind of like a 2-year update. Because Johnson did his 24 issues, which took 2 years. Robert Kirkman, if he gets to issue 48, which would be another 2 years, then we can go back and look at those characters. So it just kind of all depends. I hope the Dinobots won't combine. Interesting. Nolan says, I remember you saying something about going to be a father soon. That is correct. That's why I'm making these videos. I'm making slop content on the channel so I can make big boku bucks, even though this stream is not monetized. Still hoping for a Delta video on Wheelie. And well, I mean, he has shown up in the Energon universe, but he's had such an inconsequential role that there's really not much to say. It's kind of like people who ask for a Bulkhead video. It's like, I mean, he really hasn't done anything. Or, oh, hey, we do a Energon universe sideswipe video. No. He's not a main character. And that's fine. I'm not saying that Kirkman has wasted that character. He's not a main character, and there's a lot of side characters. There's nothing to be talked about him. Slop Tryon. My prediction for Void Rivals is them meeting the Vok. Interesting. I hadn't thought about the Vok. A lot of ROM going on over there. My dude needs another cameo. There will probably, I will say, I do probably need to look at doing a video on Springer, because I know there's a lot of people who have not read Void Rivals and want a Springer video, and so that'll be a helpful way to have them catch up. Hot Rod, I mean, I guess. I don't really feel like Hot Rod has been a character in Void Rivals. He's just kind of there. Springer's had a character that I liked, and then they put Hot Rod there, and hey, he's here too. It's like, yeah, okay. Sure, yeah, he's here too. I want you to know I'm blind and I can't read comics, so you, Swizz, MB3, and Go Beyond are all my guys that allow me to enjoy comics. Thank you so much. Truly appreciate what you guys do. Thank you, public. I really appreciate that. Yeah, Swizz does a great job of reading out the issues and explaining what's happening on each page. He's fantastic at doing that, and that's why I leave that to him, because I think he does it the best, and I just talk about the characters and their arcs. But thank you for listening in. Who would you kill off from Autobots and Decepticons? All of them. Everybody's dead. Hot Rod was just Springer's Uber. Absolutely, Sky. Absolutely. I do feel like Hot Rod was there because he was there, and that was his character. And I'm not saying that that's necessarily wrong, but I did feel like it was like, why are you here again, dude? You know, it's different from like Blaster. Blaster, who shows up in issue 32, I don't know, shows up on Earth, leaves Earth, goes to Cybertron and gets slimed. It's like, okay, sure, like that's fine. He's not a main character. It happens. But yeah, Hot Rod is like, dude, why are you here? Moonbase 3 is the art guy. Between you three, I get really good image of what's going on. Yeah, Moon is great. If you're public, if you're not listening to Teletran Tapes on YouTube, it's also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Moonbase doesn't make videos anymore, but he's one of our regular hosts on there. So we talk about that's the place to go if you want my opinion on these issues, as I'm not really doing coverage on them on this channel anymore as I used to. That's the place. And that's the place you can hear Moon, since Moon doesn't make videos anymore, really. He's a busy guy. My boy Longhaul never gets a character arc. They had a little bit more of a character arc in IDW2, in Transformers Galaxy. I have a hot take. I want to see DevCon in Void Rivals. It's not a hot take, Nolan. I'm sorry. Everybody wants that. Me? Sure. I mean, DevCon is a guy. I LARPed Skybound under Delta until I went comic shopping one day and decided to actually lock in. It's not LARPing. You guys on Teletran Tapes are the only podcasters I listen to. Oh, thank you, Smiley. Again, there is another issue. Our next episode should be out probably the start of next week. I just got to do some finishing touches on it, and then we'll get that one up. All right, let's get rid of this. I've got this thing over here. Get rid of that. All right, what do we feel about this list? You guys think I cheated you on this list? You guys think this is a fair list? What I would like to know, not every change, what is the biggest change you would make to this list? Like, what is the one issue that you're like, Delta, you have to move this issue. You're an idiot. I don't need all of them. There's enough people in the chat. But what is the one thing on this list that you're like, I cannot believe Delta Tryon did this. This is just so wrong. 0 out of 10 was not peak or mid. Yeah, nerdy. hoping for a bigger Delta crash out. No, sorry, Blitz. Not a huge crash. I had a little bit of a, maybe not a crash out, but a meltdown where my brain stopped working on some of these because I couldn't remember what happened. This is a fair list. I would have put 24 into Masterpiece. It feels like a perfect end. I agree. I do think it's a perfect end. But again, as a standalone issue, it's not quite there for me. So Nolan, you have a good point. You forgot to count the free comic book day specials. I chose not to put those in there because since I'm covering these as full comics, I feel the need that the Energon Universe specials, I would have to rank them based on their totality, not just the Transformers section. And there's a lot of people who do not care about the non-Transformer stuff. So I didn't put those in. Did not put those in. Damn, I actually agree with this list. Honestly, I'm coming up empty. I pretty much agree. Wow. There's only little segments in the specials. Yeah, no, you have the right point. That's the reason why I didn't put them in there. Yeah, a lot of people bringing up issue 24. Again, the only reason 24, I think 24 is the perfect ending to Johnson's run. I just think that as a standalone issue, it didn't quite make it to Masterpiece for me. What's the issue in No Thanks? No Thanks is the is it 29? 29 that's in that? I forget. Yeah, 29 is what's in No Thanks. I forget the numbering. Do you think Kirkman run will reach the same heights as Daniel Warren Johnson? Very unlikely, but I'm curious. It has not reached the heights, but I think it's also important to say that there are very few comics out there or writers out there that I feel have matched Daniel Warren Johnson's abilities. And so I think it's a true statement, but I think sometimes it's a really hard statement to go around. It's really hard to match Daniel Warren Johnson's output on any of his work. So what's interesting is that most of the first Kirkman arc issues are good, needs work, but revisiting the arc is dangerously close to no thanks for me. It's true. That is very true. I would agree with you, Carl. Happy things seem to have turned a corner, though. Yeah, I do believe that we've turned that corner. That we're in a better place now with the comic than we were before. How are you feeling about them making a show about Skybound Transformers? Sharp, great question. I actually have a full stream where I talked about that. And my opinion is I will have an opinion when the show comes out. I know it's a cop-out answer, but that is what it is. Will Daniel Warren Johnson ever come back? Great question. I don't think he should. I think Daniel Warren Johnson made a fantastic story, and he's moved on to create other stories, and I think that's great. Would I be angry if he came back? No, of course not. But I think that he's made his mark, and now he's off to write other things. I'm excited for that. Thankfully, the book is still selling really well. Kirkman has his fans. It's true. It's true. It's true. I miss the good old wrestling moves. I do miss those too. There's been zero news since it was stated. Yeah, Noah, my big thing that I said in that stream was the show is not being made. The show has not been bought. They simply announced that they were shopping around an Energon Universe show. And so many people heard that and said, man, the Energon Universe show has been made. Who are they casting? None of that's happened. They just announced that they would like to make it. So that's really all there is to say there. Kirkman can be a great writer when he locks in. Here, hold on a second. Let me actually, I'm reading chat off of my phone. I can actually, just pull it up on the computer now. That way it's actually bigger. Hey, Ramban John is streaming right now too. All right. Come on, chat, load. All right. Kirkman can be a great writer when he locks in. Well, like with Walking Dead, but right now, yeah, it's a 7 out of 10 consistently, while Daniel Warren Johnson was 8 to 9 out of 10. Blitz saying, okay, time to be a plug. Pay the $1 fee for the server. It's worth it. Trust me, definitely won't regret it. Carl saying it will happen. It just takes time in the show. Yeah, absolutely, Carl. Yeah. I agree. I didn't jump on the it's lost train. I decided to wait and see. It didn't end up as bad as everyone was saying. Hopefully it keeps getting better. Yep. Things take time. Of course. The show was a part of the master plan this whole time. Walking Dead, Invincible, the blueprint is there. Absolutely. Kirkman is the mastermind at creating a world through comics and then turning it into TV shows, merchandise. It's not a bad plan. He knows what he's doing. I found Skybound 13 really emotional. I would put it in masterpiece. Love a distinct Starscream reasoning and his backstory. More Megatron buildup. Honestly, I think Daniel Warren Johnson was better than Robert Kirkman, but I'm still excited to see how the series ends. I wonder how they adapt Skybound stories. I feel like they switch between Transformers, Void Rivals, and G.I. Joe. Plot points in the same episode, it would be really clunky. Yeah, again, I talked about that in that stream. I feel like it's going to be Transformers and G.I. Joe. Void Rivals, I feel like it's going to get pushed to the side. Oh, I had this poll going. I didn't know. You guys really voted that I would crash out, huh? Damn. That's crazy. It's crazy that you guys thought I would crash out like that. Insane. Are there toys based off the Skybound run? There are 2. They're very expensive, though. Would have been glorious to see, too. Thank you, Noah. I know you didn't vote for me to crash out. I know you're a real one. I almost feel like Kirkman forgot Quintessons. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Quintessons are a pretty big part in Void Rivals. Like, huge antagonists in Void Rivals. And he's writing that, so. I adore this universe. I adore this universe's Starscream. He's very much a great example of abuse turned into abuser, taken advantage of by an older authority figure to become his weapon, and autonomy taken like Meg's was. Yeah, it's definitely an interesting take on him. I don't think we've ever heard you scream. That's why everyone was so curious to know what it would be like if you crashed out. I think Nolan, the closest I think that I've gotten to crashing out in a video is probably the ones where Mrs. Tryon names Transformers. I'm pretty loose on that one. And then maybe the Kiss Players video. Oh no, the Kiss Players video I'm pretty tame on. Void Rivals is great. Skuxoid Beta is my boy. Love Skuxoid. Skuxoid is a fantastic character. Sometimes the story becomes lackluster, but a really fun character. I know what you guys are thinking. Delta, why don't you put issue 36 on there? We haven't even got it. You could rank it. That's going to go in Masterpiece. No, I'm joking. Would have loved if Jorge Corona stayed on as the artist after Daniel Warren Johnson left. I enjoy that they're playing around with other artists. I really like Jason Howard. I think Jason Howard has really come into his own with the series. Mrs. Tryon says it's easy for her to make me crash out. It's true. The 2 videos your wife is on is the 2 you nearly crash out. Interesting. We do something like this for the other comics. I don't know. Unlucky. I enjoy the other comics going on in the Energon universe. I understand that there's really not a lot of coverage for G.I. Joe and Void Rivals especially. I don't know about Mask. It's just a lot of work. It would be a lot of work for me to cover all 4. That's why we don't do it on Teletran tapes either. It's just a lot of work. There should be other YouTubers covering G.I. Joe and Void Rivals and Mask, though. How do I feel about Shredhead getting their own action figure? Awesome. I'm going to absolutely despise the price because it's Hasbro. They're going to charge $1 million for it. Hate it. Cool figure. I bet you bad price. If there was a villain you could add in the Skybound comics, who would it be? Me. Delta content arc tier list win. Well, again, Greggy, thanks for being here. Next month, we are going to do another tier list. And actually, let me, I have the thumbnail here. Let me jump into OBS. And I'm going to put on the BRB screen. I'm still here, though. Don't worry. Let me add in. This image. This is going to be the thumbnail for the next tier list we do, and we'll be doing it with Swizz. Swizz Prime said that he was available. That was that one. Okay, let me make sure it's sized correctly. It's a YouTube thumbnail, so it has to be small enough, but boom. There we go. Yeah, we're gonna be doing a tier list of all the deaths. So that'll be a fun one. All four. So Mask has started. I'm not too interested, but would love some breakdowns to see how it's going. Yeah, again, that's just it. It's tough to keep up. And I think the biggest thing is I would like to cover G.I. Joe and Void Rivals, but I feel like it would be necessary for me to go backwards and start at issue 1. And that's just so much work because people will be wondering why I just started at issue, 25 or whatever. So, what did we rank issue 20? Oh, Swizz is here. Oh man, I talked about Swizz being on the channel and he showed up. Hold on, Swizz. Let me get back over for you. Oh no. Wait, it's this one. I have too many things in OBS. There we go. Boom. What did we rank 20? 20 was a masterpiece. 20 was up top. Isn't Swizz Prime like your arch nemesis? Yeah, that's why I'm having him on the channel. Duh. Yeah. Skybound Scorponok needs to be like his Marvel version. I hate when they make him brute animalistic. Swizz forgets his soul binding contract with Delta. Maybe just Void Rivals since it's closely connected. I mean, G.I. Joe is just as closely connected public to Transformers as Void Rivals is. Sometimes even more so. How was issue 35? I put it in the I really liked it category. So they're adding Rom. Yeah, Rom had his single issue, his special. It was fun. I covered it here on the channel. There was a lot of views on that video. I was surprised. A lot of people coming into the Energon universe because they loved Rom when they were younger. So cool to see new people jump in. Feels like every old Hasbro toy line is getting incorporated into the Energon universe after reading the last issue of Mask. Yeah, some people really dislike that the Energon universe just feels like a dumping ground for Hasbro properties being brought back to life. But yeah. Swizz Prime says, I agree with most of this. What is that supposed to mean, Swizz? You want to hop in Discord and fight with me about some of these? How do you think Skybound Shockwave would react to meeting Megatron? I bet you they'd fight each other. Yeah, Energon Universe I feel like is doing good. Having a good year. I think it was struggling for a little bit, but it's doing good. Man, okay, Swizz, what is the one, just pick one. What is the one ranking on this list that you think is just unacceptable? Just one issue. My worst take on here, Swizz, what is it? Delta, would you be interested in covering the Dreamwave comics? Nolan, I don't really cover comics like Swizz does, where I go through and talk about each issue. I just do character arcs, really, so it's not really on the table for me. Do you think dual combiners work in Skybound? Do you mean like having two combiners at the same time, or do you mean like Scramble City? Because they can do whatever they want. Issue 12 should be Masterpiece, Swizz says. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. I see the I see the argument for that. But again, something being in the I really liked it doesn't mean I disliked it. Masterpiece for me, Swizz, is like generational comic. Not just Transformers, but generational comic. So like Energon combining. Oh, yeah, I think that would be cool to see. We made it, guys, though. You guys didn't tear me apart. Dumb Jake was wrong. He probably wants issue 19 to be down in the bottom tier. I wish that I could go back in time and stop my parents from reading so I didn't have to read this. Swizz says, yeah, 12 is generational. Good for me. Sweet. Yeah. If you guys are ever watching a Dumb Jake video, just comment, yo, Transformers Skybound issue 19 is the best issue. He'll crash out. He really hates that issue. He probably also hates issue 31. But that's for many different reasons. Yeah, you have to talk to him about that. Here's what I would like. Before we wrap this up, what I would like to hear from you guys in chat is not where you would put this in the ranking, but of the 35 issues of Transformers we've had, in your opinion, what is your lowest rated one? You don't have to tell me what category it goes into. Just what is the lowest? What is the issue that you dislike the most? What's at the bottom? Yeah, you don't have to. You're tripping on 19, by the way. What, Swizz, you think should be higher or lower? The one where Bumblebee dies is the word. Well, that's issue 1, so that's unfortunate. It's a masterpiece. Generational issue. The one Alita and Onslaught dies. So that Onslaught's not dead, technically, and you say the one Alita, I'm not sure. Issue 19 fire, hashtag Team Moon. I liked it. I said it's cool. It just needs work. Issue 28. Come on, guys. Put an issue in that's your least favorite. Alita attacking Optimus is the one for me. Interesting. Okay. Meg's cannibalizing Trailbreakers at the bottom for me. I think 30 will always remain a point of contention. Yeah, 30 is the most contentious one, for sure. Sort of dies, Alita taking Matrix. Well, again, Alita doesn't take the Matrix. The Matrix chooses Alita. I feel like this is something that we're always dealing with, especially on Teletran tapes. Alita does not take the Matrix. The Matrix chooses her. As much as we dislike that. Lowest for me is probably 32. For some reason, Cybertron stuff does not interest me as much as the Earth, but I also wish it was longer. It felt quick. Yeah. It probably felt quick because there was no back and forth story-wise. I think 29 and 30 are my least favorite. I haven't read issues 7 through 12. I don't get an opinion. Yeah, you do. Alita Prime issue for me. Meg's cannibalizing Trailbreaker is also near the bottom, too. Trailbreaker dying is so good. Man, I'm getting some back and forth. The one Megatron messes with the dead deer. Leave that poor baby deer alone. Thank you, Mrs. Tryon. Alita Prime issue for me, too. I'm not surprised everybody really dislikes the Alita Prime issue. I don't have a problem with Alita becoming a Prime. We've talked about this many times. I just think the execution's bad. Trailbreaker's death is awesome, but Megatron would drink his Energon. He does. Wouldn't drink his Energon. Well, we've already had Blue Streak drink Energon, omitted keeper, so Swizz saying I think 29 was weak. Yeah, that I agree with you, Swizz. That's my least favorite on the list is 29. Everybody's agreeing with Swizz, of course. Feels like Swizz should be doing this stream now. I see how it is, guys. I see how it is. You guys are picking sides. The side you're picking is Swizz Prime. I understand. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Starscream showing mercy to a cat is so underrated. Yeah. Issue 29. We still love you too, Delta. Oh, thank you. I don't have a problem with Alita Prime either. I just don't like seeing her trying to rip it out of Optimus. Swizz is Team Delta. That's not true. I think 13 felt a little out of place with how the story was going. Yeah, I think a lot of people felt that with 13. Oh, with 13 or 19? Oh, 13? No, I disagree. I got 10 on Swizz. Conversation between Optimus and Thundercracker is one of my favorite stuff in the run. Greggy's least favorite issue is 209. It's from the future. Greggy, is it still Robert Kirkman writing at issue 209? Is he still on? That's crazy. That's all I want to know about the future. I don't want to know anything else. It's Mark Miller. Oh, great. Yikes. Yikes. Then it's Stephen Colbert writing. Sure. Okay, yeah. Big yikes. Big yikes on that, guys. My favorite issue was the Marvel Spider-Man crossover, but that's not in the EU run. 31 is interesting, but short. The fact that we're now doing previous Decepticon leaders lore is always fascinating direction that we don't often see in TF media anymore. I'm up for it. As goofy as it is. Yeah. How long do you think the Skybound comic will last? As long as there's somebody buying it, and it's still within the top, I think it's still within the top 5 comics of Image, so a long time. Long time. I'm slightly conflicted on the new art style, improvement or degrade. I think it's an improvement. I think I have the hot take of I did not enjoy Dan More's art. I don't think Dan Moore is a bad artist. I understand how good he is. I just don't think that his art, Kirkman's writing, and Spicer's coloring worked together for the best. I don't. If Carl is still in here, Carl can explain it better. He and I have talked a lot about it. Skybound has a license for about 7 more years. From an artistic standpoint, I enjoy Howard for the use of his shapes more than the block. But from a reader standpoint, I prefer Mora. I need Transformers to run as long as IDW. Careful, Swizz. Don't bring in the IDW comparisons. I'll really have to turn off the stream. Delta, I feel the same. I enjoy everyone else's art, but DNA is the weakest. Well, DNA hasn't been doing interiors. Well, I'm just talking about the interior art. Dan Mora has been my least favorite artist. Not because I think he's a bad artist, because I think his art did not lend itself well to the story that was being told. DNA, he just does covers, so. Who would you choose as writer for EU Transformers comics in the future? More Dan Waters. Dan Waters is doing EU stuff. I would love to have Dan Waters on Transformers, but he's doing Mask right now, so. Do you think Alita 1 coming to Earth fast makes it a bit lazy writing? I don't think it's lazy. I think it's again, the concept's fine. The execution's bad. It's too rushed. Delta fears the IDW fans. No, I'm one of the IDW fans. I'm just over those conversations. I guess they most likely reused the portal Shockwave had to portal themselves to Earth. Yeah, who knows? What if I told you in the future Kirkman and Miller both write it now? Agree with you, Swizz. Really feels like we're going back to the art direction more in line than what we had before. Yeah. Yeah, again, Dan Moore is not a bad artist. I think he's a generational artist. I just don't think that his style worked well for the series. You know, I don't think it's technically bad. I felt nothing from it. Felt very static, very plain. So, Cosmos was in the EU comics. Delta hinted at it, and I got so excited. Yeah, he's been in there. Would you like having absolute Batman writers be in Skybound? They're busy writing their own story. Scott Snyder, he's busy. Let him do his own thing over there. Let him cook over on his comic. Over on Absolute Batman. They're at like what issue? I don't even know what issue Absolute Batman is up to now. Mark Waid to write Future. That is actually a good choice. I hadn't thought about Mark Waid. Mark Waid would be an interesting choice for Transformers. Yeah. I'd love if Donny Cates wrote Transformers. Smiley, I don't know if you know, but my favorite comic of all time is God Country by Donny Cates. I also don't know if you know, but Donny Cates no longer works in the comic industry, really. He had he was in a car crash a couple of years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and he has not really worked in the industry since then. So, unfortunately. But yes, very good writer. God Country, my favorite comic of all time. I actually have a video on it. I just got the hardcover, the God Country hardcover. There's only 1,000 copies made for San Diego Comic-Con. It was my ultimate white whale. I made a video over on Cowboy Hat Comics on that. Love Donny Cates. Would love to meet him, but again, he doesn't really do that anymore. If you pull any writer from their book to write a volume of Skybound, who would you pick? Again, probably I would want Dan Waters to come over to Transformers. He's doing a great work with actually, okay. All-time decision would probably be Denise Camp, but he just signed a exclusive deal with DC, so he's not writing anything but DC right now. I agree with you. Mora is a great artist, but geometric shapes weren't his strength. Yeah. Absolute Universe made a version of you, and it's the grossest thing ever. Swizz is right. Swizz is right. Grant Morrison, LOL. I just finished Animal Man, actually. I enjoyed Animal Man, but yeah, Grant Morrison is very, very preachy. I don't know if he would work very well in Transformers. I want Jonathan Hickman to write Transformers. In your opinion, who's the best Transformers artist in Skybound? Jorge Corona. I love Danny Warren Johnson's art. I think he's a master at what he does, but I think Jorge Corona wins out. It's also easy to say because we've had the most of Jorge Corona. So there's a bias there, but I think Jorge Corona is the best that we've had. I think it's time for me to subscribe to Swizz. Yeah, bro. What's wrong with you, Blitz? Why are you not subscribed? Glad you got that hardcover, Delta. Thank you. Yeah, very, very happy I finally got that. I'm trying to think of some other art. I'm looking back at my comic collection to see what other writers I'm thinking of. I know. I would love to have true fact, Swizz Prime's favorite writer of all time, Jeff Lemire. I would love to have Jeff Lemire write Transformers and draw it. I love his art style. Swizz does too. Denise Camp on Transformers would be generational. Absolutely, Smiley. People would not be ready for that. People's minds would be blown. People would be going crazy. Hot take, I'd like to see the Star Seekers in Skybound. I don't think it's a hot take. That'd be cool to see him. Damn it, Delta, not this again. Have a nice day, everyone. Will you watch End of Oak Streak? I probably will, yeah. It does look like a fun movie. See ya. Thanks for stopping by. Okay, guys. I've been on here over 2 hours. I have to... Almost 3 hours now. I have to go eat dinner with Mrs. Tryon. But yeah. Don't forget, if you're watching a Dumb Jake video, comment. Tell them that you love Transformers issue 19. It's the best one. And then if you're talking to Swizz, tell him Jeff Lemire. You love his favorite artist, Jeff Lemire. Thanks for coming, guys. Night-night, everybody. Take care. Again, we'll be doing this next month with Swizz, doing the Skybound Deaths. See y'all later.